I'm cultivating immortality with the science of mortals. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 Zao Kingling. On how to peek. A yellow-clothed cultivator looked at Cheyenne Wu peak in the distance, which was shrouded in blue and purple poisonous fog, with a sad face. It's a dangerous place. It's really a dangerous place. Senior, I only have one bottle of detoxification pills. Is it not enough? Yu Ruox's eyes were as calm as water, and she was not moved by Luo Hong's words at all. During this journey, she was used to Luo Hong's cautiousness, and ignoring him was the best response. Please follow me. Two distinguished guests. The clan leader is waiting in the reception hall. The speaker was a member of the Zao family who had just gone to pass on the message. Like Zao Yashu, he was a black-faced boy, but his cultivation was much higher. Over the years, the Zao family has changed a lot, and it is not easy for Sister Kingling to keep the business. Yu Ruoxi walked on the mountain stone steps, looking at the Zao family's seemingly majestic, but actually without any spiritual energy. The main hall and pagoda side with a little sadness. Having just come out of the Yan'yu sect, a large sect of immortal cultivators with restrictions and formations everywhere, and then to the immortal cultivator families that didn't even have a mountain protection formation. Luo Hong felt deeply the gap between the rich and the poor in the world of immortal cultivators. A small family like the Zao family, which only had one cultivator in the foundation building stage and more than 10 members in the key refining stage, couldn't withstand any storms. Once there was a gap in the number of cultivators at the foundation building level, the family would fall in an instant. Arriving at the Yangling Hall, where the Zao family's young children first learned to refine qi, they entered the core area of the Zao family. There was a high-grade earth-based formation for protection, which was also the only formation Luo Hong had seen along the way. After passing through the formation, Luo Hong and the others quickly arrived at the welcoming hall and met Zao Kingling, the head of the Zao family. Completely different from the image of a white-bearded old man who was gloomy all day for the survival of the family in Luo Hong's imagination. Zao Kingling was petite, like a 16-year-old girl, with a not-so-soft appearance, but rather heroic in a scholar's men's clothing. Sister Yu, the scene of our trip to Yu State together seems to be right in front of us. In the blink of an eye, it has been more than 20 years since we last met. Today, we are reunited after a long absence. Let's not talk about alchemy first. Sister, please try the spiritual fruits grown by my Zao family. As soon as they met, Zao Kingling enthusiastically pulled Yu Ruoxi to sit down at an elegant stone table. The stone table was filled with various spiritual fruits, with a wide variety in colors, which made people salivate. As for Luo Hong, a disciple in the key refining stage, she subconsciously ignored him. Sometimes, the effect of gathering qi too well is not a good thing. The spiritual fruits of the Zao family can be enjoyed later, but I have exchanged the recipe of the pure lotus pill from my sister for more than 60 years. After so much trouble, I finally got all the materials, but I don't want to wait any longer. Yu Ruox's tone was a little resentful. She thought she had taken advantage of the transaction in the pill recipe, but in fact she suffered a loss. Although the auxiliary spiritual medicines for refining the pure lotus pill only need more than 100 years of medicinal age, each one is rare and hard to find. She has spent a lot of time and effort over the years. If she hadn't known that it was impossible to get the spiritual stones back from this pixie sister, Yu Ruoxi might have given up collecting them long ago. Sister, you actually want to refine the pure lotus pill? Have you even found the lotus spiritual medicine that has been cultivated for more than 500 years? Zao Kingling was suddenly shocked, and all her excuses disappeared. That's right, all the materials are ready, enough for sister to open the furnace and refine 3 times. Sister, please check it out. Yu Ruoxi spread a pile of jade boxes all over the stone table, and even opened the one containing the righteous lotus, urging her. Okay. This righteous lotus is enough. I will definitely refine 1 furnace, and then please sell me for at a low price. Zao Kingling had never practiced the ice skin and jade bone method, but she also wanted the pure lotus pill urgently. Sister, you are late. I have promised 4 pills to this young friend Luo. I can sell you 2 or 3 at most, and it won't be cheap. Yu Ruoxi glanced and motioned Zhao Qingling to look at Luo Hong, who had been listening quietly, and then said, "This righteous lotus was provided by young friend Luo. Who are you?" Zhao Qingling asked with a little hostility. Luo Hong wanted to get the pure lotus pill as soon as possible, so he didn't hide it. He touched the divine mind talisman on his shoulder and said lightly under the aura of a giant and stage cultivator, "Junior Luo Hong, my master is Li Huoyan, the giant and elder of Huangfeng Valley. Why are you using the divine mind talisman indiscriminately? Put it away quickly. It is not a pleasant feeling to be locked by the aura of a giant and stage cultivator," Yu Ruoxi said with a little annoyance. "This is not for the junior to use indiscriminately. As long as the junior activates the divine mind talisman once every time he arrives at a new place, he will not be afraid that his master will not be able to find him after he disappears. Senior Zhao, is that right?" Luo Hong tapped his finger again, closed the divine mind talisman, and said to Zhao Qingling with a smile. No wonder he was able to get 4 pure lotus pills from Sister Yu. Young friend Luo is really well prepared. That's it just takes a little more time. Zhao Qingling decisively gave in. "Since it's settled, when do you plan to start refining?" Yu Ruoxi really didn't want to wait any longer. "Don't worry, sister, I'll start the furnace in 2 days, and there will be results within 10 days after the furnace is started." Zhao Qingling calculated the time in her heart and said frankly. After getting a satisfactory result, Yu Ruoxi chatted with Zhao Qingling about the past. Luo Hong knew that it was inconvenient for him to listen in, so he spontaneously left the reception hall and wandered around the Zhao family. The Zhao family members who came and went already knew that there was a guest, so they didn't stop Luo Hong, but just cast a glance from time to time. Unconsciously, Luo Hong came to the edge of the formation, which was the place he was most interested in. "Zhao Ziron, let's go out and play. What's the point of practicing boxing all day?" A childish voice came from the side. Luo Hong looked up and saw that it was 2 11 or 12-year-old children and the Yangling Hor who had a dispute. The younger one was a girl with a chubby face that looked very cute. She was pulling a boy's arm, her little mouth raised in grievance. "Sister Sissy, I have only practiced the Zhu and Bing Bada 20 times today, and there are still 80 times to practice. I will play with you after I finish practicing, okay?" Zhao Zion rubbed Zhao Sissy's little head and said in a gentle voice, "La, it will be dark when you finish practicing, and Sissy will go home." Zhao Sissy has been fooled several times. This time, she will never believe Zion's nonsense again. She puffed up her little face and pulled. Although Zhao Zion is young, he has a lot of muscle and is very strong. Even if Zhao Sissy hangs on him, his body doesn't even shake. He didn't dare to break free, for fear that his brute force would hurt the girl. He was also not good at talking, and didn't know that he needed to coax her at this time, so the situation became stalemate. "Little brother, since you are a cultivator, why do you have to practice that kind of dead strength all day long? It's useless." Luo Hong is not a person who meddles in other people's business. He saw at a glance that Zhao Zion practiced the ice skin and jade bone method. Although it was only the first level, it could not escape his physical examination eyes. Interestingly, the female cultivators of the Zhao family did not practice, but the male cultivators of the Zhao family did. The patriarch of the Zhao family was also preparing to buy the pure lotus pill for him, paving the way. Could it be that this kid's talent was against the sky? Chapter 52, Zhao family news. Around Wushan, there are 5 immortal cultivation families with a long history, namely the Zhao family of Houta Peak, the Kan family of Yaojin Peak, the Sun family of Kamu Peak, the Li family of Lihuo Peak and the Zhao family of Hanshu Peak. Among the 5 families, the Zhao family headed by Zhao Qingling is the most powerful. Not only is the patriarch's cultivation level higher than the other 4 families, but he also runs a spiritual fruit garden with good income. It is only because they have to support more than 10 members of the clan in the late stage of key refining that they seem to be in financial difficulties. The worst is the Zhao family. Not only did the patriarch of the foundation building period die many years ago, but there are also few people in the clan. It is said that the only member of the clan with good spiritual root qualifications has been accepted as a disciple by the Kingsu sect. As a family of immortal cultivation, the Zhao family is already in name only. Luo Hong learned this information from Yu Ruoxi along the way. It stands to reason that there will be no more outstanding descendants in the Zhao family. It's just the first level of key refining, and the cultivation level is one level lower than the girl next to him. At this age, he is not a casual cultivator, so he is not qualified. After checking the boy's cultivation level, Luo Hong became even more confused. Zhao Zion's reaction was very intense. Of course my Zhao family secret method is useful. Zhao Sisi also immediately joined Zhao Zion in confronting the outside world, staring at Luo Hong fiercely. A cultivator in the key refining stage should focus on key refining. Didn't your elders teach you that? Haha, little brother, you look very unconvinced. Come on, use both hands to break one of my fingers, and see if you can break it. Young people are impatient. Luo Hong only provoked him a little, and Zhao Zion rushed over, grabbed Luo Hong's outstretched index finger with his right hand, and was about to twist it to the side. However, Luo Hong had already used his magic power to bless him, and even if Zhao Zion had 1,000 pounds of strength, he couldn't break it at all. As a result, Zhao Zion just exerted force, and his palm slipped away. The three of them were embarrassed, staring at each other for a while. Big brother, you are so slippery. Zhao Sis's innocent big eyes were full of envy. Ahem, I made a mistake. I'll control it. Come on, little brother. Luo Hong forgot that, while the magic power increased his strength, it would also activate the ice skin and jade bone method, making his fingers unusually smooth. You have also practiced the secret method of my Zhao family. Why do you still look down on the Zhao family? Zhao Zion seemed to value the family's reputation very much. He asked loudly, but he didn't grab Luo Hong's fingers again. Is the ice skin and jade bone method your Zhao family's secret method? This is the first time I've heard of it. But if it's your family's secret method, how can it be known to everyone? Luo Hong was a little surprised, but he soon believed it. After all, this was the place where the pure lotus pill was refined last time, so it was not surprising that there was some involvement. This was arranged by my great-grandfather a long time ago. As a junior, I dare not say anything. Anyway, you practiced the secret method of my Zhao family, so you shouldn't slander the Zhao family. Zhao Zion was young after all. He didn't say anything, but his face was full of dissatisfaction, just like a child who was cheated of his New Year's money by his elders. Grandpa Zhao is very strange. Sissy has heard many adults say behind his back that he is old and confused. Zhao Sissy is straightforward and speaks whatever comes to mind. Sissy, you can't make up stories about elders, especially those who have passed away. Suddenly, a kind voice came from the side. Luo Hong's consciousness had already discovered this person, so she was not scared. However, Zhao Sissy seemed to have seen the most terrifying person. She left her little brother and ran away. The person who came was a wrinkled old woman with white hair and a cane. Luo Hong turned her head and saw that she had the cultivation level of the early stage of the foundation building period. The cane in her hand exuded a strong spiritual energy, which seemed to be a top-level magic weapon. This little friend from Huangfeng Valley, did Zion offend you in any way? The child has a stubborn temper. I'm willing to apologize for him. Senior, you are too polite. I'm just curious about the origin of the ice skin and jade bone method. If there are some unspeakable inside stories, I will never force it. Luo Hong bowed and said, there is no inside story. It's just that old man Zhao had no other choice and came up with a foolish idea. The secret method of Zhao family cultivation requires the assistance of elixirs, but as the Zhao family weakened, the materials for alchemy became increasingly difficult to find. After more than 10 years, the clan members have been unable to use elixirs for cultivation. Old man Zhao actually came up with the idea of publishing his own secret method to lure the disciples of those big sects and clans to practice, so that they can directly buy elixirs from the market. Unfortunately, old man Zhao missed one point. Most of the disciples of the big sects and clans looked down on his family's secret method. Although they practiced, they only tried it briefly and just played around. In the end, his secret method was known to everyone, but the elixir was still difficult to obtain. Granny Sun looked up at the sky with a nostalgic look on her face. This is a smart person. It's a pity that he only thought of using the supply and demand relationship, but didn't think of hype and publicity. At least he should have done some hunger marketing and made some real and fake secret functions. How could he just pass on the secret formula? Luo Hong was secretly amazed. In the world of immortal cultivation, where everyone cherishes their own possessions, this old man Zhao can have such a breakthrough thinking. This old man is definitely not an ordinary person. It is no wonder that the ice muscle chapter has such potential in the later stage of cultivation. It turns out that it comes from a long-standing immortal cultivation family. The skills inherited by this kind of immortal cultivation family are generally old and most of them are no longer suitable for cultivation in the world, but the power is generally good. In this way, the Zhu and Bing Beta that Zhao Zion practiced should be the supporting skills for practicing the Jade Bone chapter. The magic formula that Luo Hong obtained said very little about the Jade Bone chapter. It said that only after refining all 6 levels of the Ice Muscle chapter can you try to practice it. So Luo Hong has never thought about finding the missing Jade Bone chapter. But now it seems that this is a trick left by old man Zhao. Little brother, I have 2 bottles of White Lotus pills here. Do you want to make a deal? Luo Hong didn't think much about it. The White Lotus pills were no longer useful to him. If he could satisfy his curiosity to take a peek at the Jade Bone chapter, it would be worth it. But Luo Hong didn't notice that after hearing his words. A flash of coldness flashed in Granny Sun's eyes. You have the White Lotus pill. What do you want? Zhao Zion took 2 steps forward excitedly. The complete ice skin and Jade Bone method. Okay, Zion, don't mess around. Granny Sun slammed her cane. Her face was extremely serious, and she stopped Zhao Zion who was about to take out the jade slip. Zhao Zion looked at Granny Sun with some fear, but then gritted his teeth and took out the jade slip from his arms. You kid, how can you sell the lifeblood of the Zhao family so cheaply? Granny Sun said angrily. My brother has already joined the Kingsu sect. I'm the only immortal cultivator in the Zhao family. I'm the lifeblood of the Zhao family. Only if I succeed in building the foundation can the Zhao family survive. Otherwise, there will be no Zhao family in the world from now on. What's the point of keeping the secret method? It's better to exchange it for some elixirs. Zhao Zion seemed to be very resentful of his brother for abandoning the family. After taking the medicine bottle from Luo Hong, he yelled at Grandma Sun and ran away. Alas, young people nowadays don't take the ancestral teachings seriously. Forget it. I, an old woman, have no right to say anything to them. The world has changed. Grandma Sun muttered some incomprehensible words and ignored Luo Hong and walked towards the reception hall alone. Luo Hong held the jade slip in his hand, but he couldn't be happy in his heart. He had a hunch that the entanglement between the 5 families would bring him great trouble. The 5 element can both generate and restrain each other. It is not advisable to stay here for a long time. You need to return to Huangfeng Valley as soon as possible after the matter is accomplished. Chapter 53, The Method of Devouring Monsters and Refining Bones. In the quiet room of the guest room, Luo Hong sat cross-legged under a ferocious portrait of monster. He had set up a small soul enchanting array around him to block the prying of other spiritual consciousness. Putting the jade slip he got from Zhao Zion on his forehead, Luo Hong closed his eyes and began to comprehend. At first, his expression was calm, but soon he frowned. When he finally woke up, he breathed a sigh of relief inside. The method of swallowing monsters. The ancient immortal cultivators were really reckless. But it is precisely because of this that we can fight for a smooth road for our human race in the battle with monsters. On the road of cultivating immortals, the relationship between immortal cultivators and monsters can be said to be a life and death struggle. Immortal cultivators want to refine weapons with the bodies of monsters, draw talismans with blood, and use souls to help with magic, but monsters will not miss the opportunity to devour immortal cultivators and mortals, and improve their demonic power. The so-called method of swallowing monsters is to eat the spirits of monsters above level 2 alive, use ice skin as a net, jade bones as a prison, and forcibly seize the magical powers of this monster. The specific process is as follows. First, swallow the monster spirit and force it into a certain section of the practitioner's bones. Then remove the restrictions on the monster spirit and wake it up. Because of the will to survive, the monster spirit will immediately start to rob the practitioner's body. The practitioner must resist with magic power, otherwise once the monster spirit escapes, the practitioner's body will be unstoppably demonized. After the demonization, not only will the body be deformed, but it will also generate demonic power, polluting the practitioner's magic power and consciousness. At this time, the practitioner is equivalent to falling. Once the first wave of erosion is resisted, the monster spirit will live in the section of bones, fall into a semi-awakened sleeping state, accumulate strength and wait for the opportunity to launch a second erosion until it is completely wiped out. This stage will last 4 decades. After completion, it will be considered the Jade Bone chapter, and the practitioner can perfectly use the magic power of the monster. Without the Ice Muscle chapter, to strengthen the meridians and increase mana in advance, the practitioners of the Jade Bone chapter will definitely not be able to resist the first wave of erosion by the monster spirits. Moreover, even if the Ice Muscle chapter is perfected, it only increases the chance of success. This is a completely life-threatening secret method. No wonder the old senior only verbally stopped my deal with Zhao Zion. She is sure that I don't have the courage to practice. The vast majority of the Jade Bone chapter is a record of which bones are suitable for various monster spirits to be sealed, what spiritual objects are needed to assist, and what details to pay attention to. The more Luo Hong read, the more he felt that this was a secret method that was only suitable for people with extraordinary luck and strong will to practice. To put it bluntly, it is the same principle as my Jade Talisman visualization method, except that I used a clever method to engrave the silver runes of the monster's magical power into the soul, while this Ice Skin and Jade Bone method uses a violent method to borrow the power of the monster's spirit to forcibly engrave the silver runes on the bones. It is necessary to use the spirit of monster above level 2, because the power of the low-level monster spirit is not enough to support the engraving process. The Jade Bone chapter really opened Luo Hong's eyes, but it had no practical value to him. Unless it was a desperate cultivator, no one would risk becoming a demon to practice this method. However, Luo Hong could practice the Zuanbing 8 strikes attached to the Jade Slip. This Zuanbing 8 strikes is more like a set of methods to rush the meridians than a boxing method. After the rush is successful, a powerful spell called Zuanbing Transformation can be performed, but it also requires the Ice Skin chapter to be a prerequisite. There are countless meridians in the human body, except for a few large meridians that are the same. The positions of the remaining small meridians are different, and it is impossible to distinguish them by spiritual consciousness alone. Therefore, many exercises have formulas to help practitioners find the small meridians. The process of finding is the process of understanding the exercises. Zuanbing Beidao and the formulas of the exercises can be said to be similar in nature. The magic power flows with the fist force. As long as you practice diligently and don't poke, there will always be a day when you can successfully open the meridians. The starting posture is like this, and then exert force like this. Walk here and turn it. Oh, it's not right. It's too early to turn. Luo Hong waved his fists clumsily in the quiet room, stepping stiffly, and his movements were not coherent. The boxing style of Zuanbing Beidao is not complicated, and it even tends to be more open and close. Logically, even if Luo Hong is a beginner, he should not play like this. After practicing for a long time, Luo Hong sat cross-legged to rest for a while, and suddenly stood up and played the first posture neatly, accompanied by a crisp sound. This means that Luo Hong has fully exerted the power of this posture, and it is connected, which also means that the meridians in this posture have been opened. If the Zhao family knew that Luo Hong had completed the first form of Changmei in half a day without the help of the seniors to adjust the fist path, they would be so shocked that they would jump out of their coffins. So these silver runes are needed. I thought that these silver runes that appeared due to the white lotus pill only have the function of strengthening the meridians, but it seems that there is more to it. Ordinary immortal cultivators obtain the corresponding silver runes by finding the meridians, but Luo Hong can do the opposite and find the meridians through the silver runes. This is tantamount to inferring the process through the result, which is naturally much simpler. After starting to practice the second form, Luo Hong's movements became like those of an amateur again. Uruoxi was watching the refining of the pure lotus pill, and Luo Hong didn't want to get involved too much with the 5 immortal cultivation families in Washan, so he simply stayed in the quiet room to clean his meridians. When the pill is refined, his meridians will be almost cleaned, and if there is any change at that time, he can also use various means. 10 days passed in a flash, and no one approached Luo Hong's guest room, except the Zhao family members who came to deliver meals every day. In the quiet room, Luo Hong performed the last move of the Black Ice 8 fights. A blue fist shadow whizzed out, leaving a pale frost mark on the stone pillar. It's done. Luo Hong looked at his hands with joy. Just as he was about to practice a few more times, he suddenly smelled a strong medicinal fragrance. He hurriedly pushed the door open and went to the alchemy room on the top of the peak. He just happened to see Uruoxi taking a jade bottle from Zhao Kingling. You have been leisurely these days. Take it. Uruoxi spit out her magic power, and 4 pink and white pills flew to Luo Hong. Luo Hong collected the pills and bowed, saying, "Thank you for your hard work, 2 seniors. I have arranged for my clan members to prepare a medicinal bath in Chengxiang Garden. You should hurry up and refine the pure lotus pill." Zhao Kingling pointed to a building on the mountainside. Zhao Kingling's arrangement was exactly what Luo Hong and Uruoxi wanted. After thanking them repeatedly, the 2 flew to Chengxiang Garden under the guidance of the Zhao family. As soon as she entered the room with the medicinal bath, Luo Hong noticed that the walls around her contained a stone that could block spiritual consciousness. There's no need to worry about someone peeping. Luo Hong chuckled, took off her clothes, and jumped into the bath. After taking a pure lotus pill, she immersed herself in the water from head to toe and slowly refined the medicinal power. On the other side, Uruoxi took off her veil, revealing a beautiful face that was so delicate that it could be blown away. I hope this pill can really help me break through the bottleneck of Dun formation. The white clothes fell, and only a ripple spread on the water surface, and no one was seen. At the top of the mountain, Zhao Kingling, with her hands behind her back, kept watching Luo and the others enter Chengxiang Garden. They have started, and we should act too. The heads of the Kian, Sun and Li families appeared silently behind her. Chapter 54, Rapid Progress. It will take at least 5 days to complete the Ice Skin chapter. That's enough. The head of the Li family, dressed in black, clenched his fists fiercely. Flames rose up, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit. Why don't you think about it again? When the time came, Granny Sun hesitated. If we miss this time, the next opportunity to open the 5-element prison sealing array will be 10 years later. Granny Sun, with your lifespan, can you hold on until then? Do you want the Sun family to follow the Zhao family's footsteps? This is a last chance. Qian Bao was not polite. In his eyes, Granny Sun was an old tree that had long been rotten, and living was just waiting to die. Granny Sun, we have no way out. Zhao Kingling left a word and then flew to Xianwu Peak. Everyone was fighting for their own family, so there was no need to say more. At the top of Xianwu Peak, an ancient altar with 5 stone platforms had been reopened. The stone platform that was originally covered with moss had seen the light of day again, and the grooves on it were filled with pieces of monochrome spirit stones. Zhao Kingling landed on a stone platform, and immediately a yellowish-brown light shield rose from the platform, and a large array of patterns around it began to light up slowly from the platform. Then, 3 rays of light came one after another, and each landed on a stone platform, and 3 more light shields appeared on the altar. Patriarch Zhao, quickly summon the Zhao family's orchid-scented python. The time is almost up. Qian Bao urged, after activating the stone platform under his feet. Go. Zhao Kingling waved her right hand, and a small white snake that had been coiled around her wrist shot out and landed on the last empty stone platform. A blue light shield rose, but the spiritual energy flow was a little unsmooth, and it looked unstable. This top-level orchid-scented python is the inherited spiritual beast of the Zhao family, and it is also the producer of the Qinlangxiang liquid. Since the death of the previous patriarch of the Zhao family, it has been raised by Zhao Kingling, but its owner is still Zhao Zaron. Using the bloodline restriction left by the ancestors of the Zhao family can only barely open the water lock. You need to open the Arona locks to the limit before you can open the 5-element prison array. When the time comes, don't hesitate. Zhao Qingling has already grasped 2 intermediate spirit stones and prepared for a great loss of mana. The other 3 also took out their own means of restoring mana, either taking medicine or offering magic tools, all ready to fight. The time has come, do it. With Zhao Qingling's shout, the mana of the 4 people surged wildly, and the stone platform under their feet immediately shone brightly. The orchid-scented python also swallowed and exhaled demonic power, lighting up the stone platform below. Suddenly, 5 forces flowed from the stone platform through the array pattern on the altar, and gathered at the center. The 5-colored spiritual light intertwined together, and then merged into a white spiritual light column rising from the sky, causing the sky above Xian Wu Peak to surge, and a disc-shaped gate appeared in the void. The white light column was facing the beast's mouth in the center of the disc gate, causing it to slowly rotate. The 4 people on the stone platform all changed their expressions when they saw this scene, but not all of them were happy. In the medicinal bath, a red sword pattern was drawn between Luo Hong's eyebrows. He had closed the secret pattern of the spirit dragon to prevent the medicinal power of the pure lotus pill from being swallowed by it. Looking inward with his spiritual consciousness, Luo Hong slowly refined the medicinal power of the pure lotus pill. The silver runes in his meridians that were produced by soaking in the white lotus pill gradually increased again, and their positions changed. This process was very slow. Luo Hong estimated that it would take him 3 days to refine a pure lotus pill. Luo Hong had been cultivating immortals for many years, so he still had some patience. However, he suddenly had an idea. Since the magic power was used to operate the 8 Zuanbing to open up those meridians, he would be able to perform certain specific spells after the Ice Skin chapter was completed. Would there be any changes in moving the medicinal power in these meridians? Then, Luo Hong tried it carefully and immediately found that the speed of refining the medicinal power increased 5 or 6 times, and the impurities remaining in the newly opened meridians were also discharged. You know, these impurities can only be slowly polished away by water grinding, and before they are completely removed, they will slow down the speed of the mana flowing through them. Luo Hong was overjoyed, and immediately used this method to refine the remaining pure lotus pills. Soon, the first 3 pure lotus pills were refined, and the white lotus silver rune was almost all over Luo Hong's body meridians. Not even the smallest veins were missed. After the last pure lotus pill was swallowed, Luo Hong found that his body meridians seemed to be wrapped in a network of white lotus silver runes, emitting a faint white light. At this time, under the power of the remaining pure lotus pills, all the white lotus silver runes flashed at the same frequency, and Luo Hong felt a tingling sensation in his dinshan. His spiritual consciousness swept over and immediately found that some changes that he could not detect were happening on the outer wall of the danshan. What exactly is changing? As soon as Luo Hong thought of this, the blue round particles that were originally dormant in the center of the danshan began to emit a beautiful blue halo, illuminating the outer wall of the danshan with silver runes that were more than 10 times smaller than normal silver runes. The change in the blue round particles startled Luo Hong at first, but he soon remembered that this thing was made by himself through a method similar to blood refining, and it could completely communicate with his mind, so he was relieved. The emission of a blue halo is the phenomenon of spirit particle radiation, which is similar to the spirit eye, and is the basic characteristic of all high energy spirit particle aggregates. Luo Hong had already guessed this, so he was not surprised at the moment, and focused his attention on the changes in the outer wall of the danshan. Those silver runes that he could not find by himself were not new, but existed on the outer wall of the danshan, and were now changing their positions under external forces. From the original clustered distribution, it gradually became flat on the entire outer wall of the danshan. When this change was completed, Luo Hong's danshan immediately became rounder than ever before, and the bulging feeling caused by the expansion disappeared. It's done. Luo Hong was about to break out of the water, but when he saw the blue round particles still emitting a halo, he had the idea of exploring the silver runes in other parts of his body. He would not have this opportunity when he opened the secret pattern of the spirit dragon later. Because he had just comprehended the Jade Bone chapter not long ago, Luo Hong chose the bones as his target. The blue round particles escaped from the Danshan in an instant as his mind moved and wandered around Luo Hong's body like an ethereal object. As he scanned the bones one by one, Luo Hong's silver rune reserves continued to increase, and he was immersed in the joy of acquiring knowledge. However, when the consciousness came to the spine, something strange happened. The 4th level dragon bone silver rune that had been quietly staying in Luo Hong's soul suddenly stuck to Luo Hong's spine, and the blue round particles also began to emit spiritual energy, and the white lotus silver runes in the surrounding meridians began to move again. Ice skin is a net, jade bones are a prison. This is a practice of entering the jade bone chapter. Oops, I can't stop. It seems that he accidentally touched a silver rune representing automatic operation, and Luo Hong couldn't stop the engraving of the dragon bone rune. This is not a big deal, but the blue round particles that serve as the source of spiritual energy are too powerful. Even if the spiritual energy is released at the lowest power, it is far beyond the needs of practicing jade bones. This is not a big deal. Normally, the spiritual energy that exceeds the external spiritual pressure will overflow the meridians, but because the white lotus silver rune is in an excited state, the meridians have an unprecedented restraint on the spiritual energy. Seeing that the internal spiritual pressure quickly exceeded 100, Luo Hong could only start to practice basic exercises to consume excess spiritual energy. Fortunately, the increase in internal spiritual pressure will increase the speed of practice. When Luo Hong's internal spiritual pressure increased to about 220, the supply of blue round particles and Luo Hong's consumption reached a balance. In a few breaths, Luo Hong's cultivation broke through the 11th level of key refining. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55. Different Ideas. After the ice skin chapter was completed, Luo Hong's meridian toughness increased by about 10 times. The internal spiritual pressure of 220 was far from the limit. He was just a little distressed about the loss of blue round particles. It was fun to use, but it was difficult to replenish. As soon as he started practicing, time passed very quickly, and it was already the 5th day. On Xianwu Peak, the patriarchs of the 4 major families had already shown signs of fatigue on their faces, but the round door in the void above was about to be completely opened. It's about to succeed, Zhao Qingling encouraged herself. This time, she was the one who took the lead in opening the 5-element ceiling prison array in order to release the monsters in it, kill the monsters, and seize the treasures. This idea has always existed since she inherited the position of patriarch and learned that there was a secret realm opening array hidden on Xianwu Peak. The ancestral precepts are to prevent monsters from causing harm to the world, so the 5 of us, the immortal cultivation families, have been guarding here for generations. But now is different from the past. There are almost no monsters with high cultivation in the Xiaonan immortal cultivation world. We no longer have to worry about monsters causing harm to the world. Instead, we should think about how to use this ancestral treasure. Zhao Qingling thought so. The 5 families were sitting on a treasure mountain, but they all lived in poverty because they were always bound by the ancestral precepts. Under my leadership, the new generation of the Zhao family, headed by Zhao Sisi, no longer practiced the ancestral thick earth gong and even put the out-of-date Huanquan blood refining method on the shelf. If the Zhao family wants to pass on, they can no longer stick to the outdated skills of their ancestors and must change, even if they are not recognized or hostile by the other 4 families. The critical moment is coming soon. Zhao Qingling can't help but look at Grandma Sun, who has been opposed until before departure. She is the patriarch who attaches the most importance to the ancestral precepts among the 4. Even though Zhao Qingling knew that Grandma Sun needed to take the corpse of the demon beast to exchange for the foundation building pill for her great granddaughter, she was still worried. Fortunately, until the round door was completely opened, Grandma Sun did not make any unusual movements, as if she had really figured it out. In the open round door, the dark demonic energy rolled into a vortex, and countless strange roars rang out. As the jailers of Washan, the 5 major families all had certain means of exploring the secret realm of the demon prison. Compared with when the ancient cultivators first built the secret realm, the spiritual energy in the secret realm has been reduced to 1/10, and it is full of the decayed demonic energy and resentment of the great demons after their death. It can be said to be a hellish environment. The demon beasts that are still alive are all descendants of the great demons that were originally imprisoned. Because of the environment in the secret realm, there are no demon beasts that exceed the 4th level, which is equivalent to the demon beasts of the immortal cultivators in the Giant stage. Moreover, Zhao Qingling and his people's cultivation is too weak to really open the 5-element prison ceiling array. The 5 gaps that were opened with difficulty are only enough for one demon beast to pass through each. The roars are the demon beasts fighting for the opportunity to escape from hell. Zhao Qingling had the highest cultivation level, and the hole she opened was the largest, so the first demon beast that escaped from the trap came out. 2 red pincers stretched out first, followed by a flat body surrounded by black demonic energy and a scorpion tail dripping with red venom. Earth Fire Black Scorpion. It's only level 2. Everyone, attack together and kill it quickly. The Earth Fire Black Scorpion becomes a level 4 demon beast when it grows up. Its venom is the best auxiliary medicine for practicing the Zhao family's Huanquan blood refining method, and it has long been extinct in Xianan. As soon as it appeared, Zhao Qingling made arrangements for every part of its demon body. Among the 4 people, the head of the Li family moved the fastest. He was surrounded by flames and rushed straight into the sky with the burning heaven sword in his hand. Zhao, Khan, and Sun followed closely behind. When the Earth Fire Black Scorpion saw 4 foundation building cultivators coming to kill it, it did not flee, but became very ferocious. The monsters in the secret realm were extremely eager for spiritual energy and flesh and blood. Even if a cultivator in the Giant stage stood in front of them, they would bite off as much flesh as possible before they died. The ferocious Earth Fire Black Scorpion was very difficult to deal with. Facing attacks, it just used its monster body to resist. Every time it swung its pincers and bit, it wanted to eat Zhao Qingling and others alive. Although Zhao Qingling had the cultivation base of the middle stage of foundation building, she changed to the illusion fragrance art from the Yanyu sect, which was not very useful for dealing with crazy monsters. The 4 of them surrounded and beat for a long time before the head of the Li family seized the opportunity to cut off the scorpion tail of the Earth Fire Black Scorpion with a knife, and then Grandma Sun killed it with a stick. Before they could catch their breath, 3 level 2 monsters drilled out of the gap in the secret realm at the same time. They were King Kong Ape, Deadwood Monster and Poison Fire Toad. Brotherly, help me, kill this King Kong Ape first. Qian Bao was wearing a golden scale in her armor with amazing defense. He took the initiative to attract the attention of the King Kong Ape, creating an opportunity for the head of the Li family to kill it with one blow. The other 3 people had no objection. The King Kong Ape was a demon beast with a partial gold element. It was indeed appropriate to use fire to overcome gold. Soon, the furious King Kong Ape was killed by the 2 heads of the Khan and Li families. At this time, the head of the Li family hurried to help Grandma Sun, who was a little exhausted, but Qian Bao stood in front of the corpse of the King Kong Ape, struggling, as if he was facing an important decision. Zhao Qingling was the first to discover the abnormality. She was shocked. Qian Bao was the first head of the family to respond to her breaking the ancestral precepts and opening the secret realm of the demon prison. Could it be that he had always harbored evil intentions? Chief Qian, what do you want to do? Come and help me quickly, the demon beast over the water gate is about to come out. Qian Bao ignored it, pinched the magic formula, and captured the spirit of the King Kong Ape in his palm, and then looked up at Zhao Qingling and others. Do you think that, if we open the demon prison like this every 10 years, and divide up the corpse of a demon beast, we can stop the family from weakening? Qian Bao did not expect to get an answer. He shook his head, and said the answer in his mind. The immortal cultivation family still relies on the immortal cultivators in the family, not these dead things. Qian family boy, are you trying to swallow the demon? Stop it, it's not time to take such a risk. Grandma Sun saw the King Kong Ape spirit in Qian Bao's hand and immediately guessed his plan. Old wood, open your eyes and look. The Zhao family is gone. Is there still no time? Qian Bao was furious. He despised the Sun family's attitude of waiting for death. Calm down, Chief Qian. To revitalize the family, you don't have to rely on the secret method passed down from ancestors. Zhao Qingling no longer cared about the consumption of mana and urged the magic weapon to kill the poisonous fire toad that was entangled with her as soon as possible. Yes, like your Zhao family, all of them practiced other families' skills. Look at you now. It takes a long time to kill a level 2 monster. Where do you put the face of the Zhao family? After Qian Bao scolded Zhao Qingling, he turned to the head of the Li family and said, "Head of the Li family is conceited about his talent, but even if you can form a pill, you can only protect the family for a few hundred more years. The fate of the Li family will not change. Gold means to be enterprising. What I, Qian Bao, do today is to pave the way for future generations. If I succeed today, all 5 families will prosper. And if I die, you will know that this road is blocked." Chapter 56, The Great 5 Element Secret. You are crazy. You are trying to swallow a demon without practicing the Iron Cauldron Golden Body technique to the 6th level, and your cultivation has not reached the stage of forming a pill. Zhao Qingling could not understand Qian Bao's idea at all. After the change, the Zhao family has already risen. Why must they risk becoming a demon by practicing the ancestral secret method? Could it be that, if you don't practice the thick earth technique and the yellow spring blood refining method, you are no longer a member of the Zhao family? My combat power has weakened, but my method can cultivate more foundation building cultivators for the Zhao family. There is no point in talking more. Qian Bao knew that he could not convince any of the clan leaders. At the moment, he just wanted to prove that his path was correct with facts. He opened his mouth and sucked, and the golden ball of light in his hand was sucked into his stomach. Qian Bao immediately showed a face full of pain. He practiced his own Iron Cauldron Golden Body technique to the extreme, and his whole body radiated golden light like a golden Buddha statue. But perhaps because his Iron Cauldron chapter had not been practiced to perfection, after only a few breaths, fluff similar to that of a diamond ape appeared in his pores, which was the initial feature of becoming a demon. Zhao Qingling and the other 2 were shocked. If Qian Bao turned into a demon, he would lose his mind. They would have another powerful enemy, which would be very bad. But the changes in Qian Bao made the 3 people who were mentally prepared change their expressions. The golden light on Qian Bao gradually faded, and white light shone through his body. His skin became white and tender at a speed visible to the naked eye. The 5 major families have lived together in Wushan for many years and they know each other well. So Zhao Qingling and the others saw that Qian Bao was using the 5-element mutual generation method to transform the spirit power of the King Kong ape into the power of water and forcibly promote the practice of the Zhao family's ice skin and jade bone method. The 3 also learned that Qian Bao had planned this long ago, because the premise of doing so was that he had to have the foundation of the ice skin and jade bone method. The great 5-element sage secret. Qian's boy, have you figured out the great 5-element sage secret? Grandma Sun's nearly 200-year-old age was not in vain after all, and she was the first to understand Qian Bao's intention. The Qian family's Iron Cauldron Golden Body skill, the Zhao family's Ice Skin and Jade Bone skill, my family's Emu Chanking skill, the Li family's Luo Body Forging skill, and the Zhao family's Huanquan Blood Refining skill. If these 5 skills can be combined into one person, it will be the lost great 5-element sage secret. Qian's boy, since you have this ambition, I will help you with this broken body. Emu Chanking, Yin and Yang transformation. Grandma Sun seemed to be stimulated by something, and brazenly used the secret method at the bottom of the box. A strong vitality flowed out of her internal organs, not only greatly increasing her magic power, but also rejuvenating her whole body. White hair turned black, wrinkles were smoothed, and in the blink of an eye, she turned from an old woman into a beautiful woman in her prime. As soon as the secret method was used, Granny Sun's fighting power soared. With a spiritual wooden crutch, she smashed the dead wood monster into pieces and killed it in a short time. Granny Sun, what are you doing? Using the Emu Chanking method will reduce your lifespan. Zhao Qingling was even more confused. Why would Granny Sun, who had always been at odds with Qian Bao, help him regardless of her lifespan? The ancestral precepts say that, as long as someone in the 5 families practices the great 5-element Tang Shengju, each family must help. Li family boy, don't have any bad ideas. I don't want to fight with you. Granny's son started with the ancestral precepts. She was the only one present who remembered the many ancestral precepts firmly in her heart. Brother Khan has the awareness of putting life and death aside. How can I stop him? Granny, you worry too much. The head of the Li family actually put away the magic weapon and pretended not to fight. Zhao Qingling was very annoyed. It turned out that he just didn't trust me. Damn toad. On Khan Xianbeo's side, the white light became stronger and stronger. When it reached a critical point, Khan Xianbeo flashed to the dead wood monster's corpse, opened his mouth, and sucked in its spirit. In an instant, a strong green light shone from his chest and abdomen, and his internal organs were transformed madly under the effect of Yimi Changqing Fa. Not long after, Khan Xianbeo rushed towards the poisonous fire toad that was entangled with Zhao Qingling. He must have used the same trick again, to kill the monster and swallow its soul. When Zhao Qingling dodged the black fireball sprayed by the poisonous fire toad, she happened to meet Khan Xianbeo's eyes. She felt that there was no humanity in it, and the greedy ferocity had taken over. She didn't want Khan Xianbeo to succeed, otherwise she would die at his hands today. So, when one of its claws pierced through the poisonous fire toad's skull, Zhao Qingling decisively attacked, and flew the sword, to take Khan Xianbeo's head. Dang. A wooden crutch blocked the attack. Granny's son and the head of the Li family blocked Zhao Qingling at the same time. Judging from their posture, they would never let Zhao Qingling make another move. Just when the situation was at a stalemate, a loud noise came from the sky. The last gap in the water gate was forcibly expanded by a monster in the secret realm. Soon, a snake head as big as a house came out. It roared and twisted its body, causing its snake body to slowly squeeze out. This process was extremely painful. Many black snake scales fell off with snake blood, which further stimulated its ferocity. Ancient alien species, the mountain shaking python. Level 3 monster. Don't target me. The 3 of us will act together quickly. It will be troublesome if this evil beast completely drills out. No one expected that the most powerful ancient beast would drill out of the water gate with the smallest opening. Thinking of the legend of the mountain shaking python passed down from generation to generation in the clan, Zhao Qingling couldn't help but feel cold in his hands and feet. Although the strength of the monster depends on the level, it is actually more important to the bloodline. It is not difficult for a level 1 dragon to fight a level 2 snake monster. This mountain shaking python is the famous monster from ancient times. Although it is only level 3 at this time, if it really breaks out of the secret realm before the giant and stage monks arrive, I'm afraid that it can only be left to wreak havoc on the world. The 3 of them knew this, and they didn't care about Khan Xianbeo, who was still absorbing the spirit of the monster. They rushed into the sky together and drove the magic weapon to attack the giant head of the mountain shaking python. But after a while, the 3 found that their attacks could only hurt the mountain shaking python and couldn't even penetrate its scales. Seeing this, the head of the Li family was about to use the Lihu and divine fire at the bottom of the box at all costs, and saw the mountain shaking python open its mouth, and 3 huge black water balls spewed out rapidly. The 3 were very close, and they were all hit right away. It is said that this black water ball is only the size of a human head, and the spiritual energy is not obvious, and it seems to have no power. But the shields of Zhao Qingling and the other 2 who were hit were instantly shattered. They hurriedly tried to block it, but it was useless. In the end, they all fell to the ground with blood gushing out of their mouths. In a daze, Zhao Qingling saw the 3 black water balls that had hit them, and seriously injured them flying back, merging into one, and being swallowed by the mountain shaking python. 1 yuan of heavy water, no wonder it's so powerful. At this time, except for Khan Xianbeo, who was already a little confused, no one could stop the mountain shaking python from breaking free from the secret realm. But fire produces earth, and now Khan Xianbeo, who has completed the practice of the great 5-element Tang Shengju, is the only one left in his mind. He is about to absorb the spirit of the poisonous fire toad, and is only interested in the spirit of the earth fire black scorpion. How can he stop the mountain shaking python? Chapter 57, Senior, please spare my life. Roar. With a hearty roar, the huge body of the mountain-shaking python, which was more than 20 feet long, all emerged from the secret realm. The round door slowly closed, and the next time to open the 5-element prison ceiling array would be 10 years later. The mountain-shaking python, which had been tortured by the environment of the demon prison for countless years, was like the previously escaped demon beasts. It obeyed its demon body's desire for spiritual energy and flesh and blood, and immediately swallowed Qianshai and Bao, who had the strongest breath at this time. However, just as its snake mouth opened wide and was about to swallow Qianshai and Bao whole, it seemed to sense something and suddenly stopped. The snake head suddenly turned towards the direction of how to peek, and its eyes revealed an extremely anthropomorphic greed. Then, it saw its snake tail swinging and flew straight to how to peek. A quarter of an hour ago, in Chengxiang Garden, a mysterious silver rune was about to take shape on Luo Hong's spine, and his cultivation had also broken into the 12th level of key refining, and he was not far from the bottleneck of the 13th level of key refining. Because the toughness of the Danshan has been greatly improved, and it is easier to expand, Luo Hong did not waste the opportunity, even though he broke through several small bottlenecks this time. As long as he calculated the big bottleneck when entering the 13th level from the 12th level, he could expand the Danshan to the limit. The next step is to build the foundation. The smooth road to cultivating immortals is right in front of him, and Luo Hong can't help but feel proud. He thought that he had died a lot of brain cells to get to where he is today with the qualifications of a 4th grade spiritual root. At this time, the engraving of the silver rune of the dragon bone was completed, and the silver rune of the white lotus in the meridians immediately lost its response. The internal spiritual pressure of more than 200 pushed the spiritual energy in the meridians to spread outward suddenly, exploding a circle of spiritual energy waves. It's finally over. Stop the blue round particle from releasing spiritual energy. Controlling the blue round particle back to the Danshan, Luo Hong examined it. By calculating the total amount of spiritual energy released, and the tiny volume reduced, it is easy to derive the total amount of spiritual energy and the density of spiritual particles in the blue round particle. TSK, it's really a giant and level existence. If it wasn't connected to my mind, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to feel its existence due to the shielding effect. The life level of a cultivator in the key refining stage is too low, and they don't have this qualification. Luo Hong sighed as he finished the Zhaoshan run of the technique, and stood up from the bath. White skin with long black hair. If he wasn't ugly, he might have a weird beauty. Luo Hong had just grabbed the clothes, when his heart skipped a beat. He was stunned for a moment by the sudden impulse he had never experienced before. The next moment, a huge snake head broke through the wall, and swallowed him directly. What? Luo Hong didn't react at all. He just smelled a very strong fishy smell and his eyes went black. The mountain-shaking python was still not satisfied. After swallowing Luo Hong, after destroying the house just now, it felt a strong breath of a cultivator, which was the best tonic. So, the mountain-shaking python twisted its head and broke through multiple walls in succession, reaching the medicinal bathroom, where Uruaxi was practicing. Evil beast. Uruaxi was shocked and forced to interrupt her cultivation, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Facing the snake's mouth, Uruaxi rolled up her robe and wrapped herself hastily, flashed to the air, and sacrificed the magic weapon to attack, but the magic power in her meridian stagnated, making her stiff for a moment. Not good. The power backfired. Before the voice fell, the mountain-shaking python opened its mouth and swallowed from bottom to top, making Uruaxi follow in Luo Hong's footsteps. After eating 2 immortal cultivators, the mountain-shaking python did not rush into the Zhao family's protective formation, but went straight to Immortal Town in the northwest, where countless blood food tempted it. In the snake's belly, Luo Hong kept sinking, until he reached a strange space. It was pitch black here. Luo Hong grabbed a handful of spiritual water amulets from the storage bag, and built layer after layer of water shields around him. The blue spiritual light emitted by the water shield also made Luo Hong see his situation clearly. The space he was in was surrounded by black liquid, and it sent a huge suction force, frantically extracting spiritual energy. In a few breaths, the water shield broke 5 or 6 layers. This is the inner space of the snake demon. Luo Hong immediately realized that he had to escape as soon as possible, otherwise all his magic power, flesh and blood and soul would be digested by the snake demon. After replenishing some spiritual water amulets, Luo Hong offered the King Wang sword and slashed it tentatively. Although Luo Hong knew it would not be that simple, the result of this sword still made him judge his situation a little worse. The King Wang sword slashed into the black water at once, but the black water only seemed to roll lightly, and the high-level magic weapon King Wang sword was shattered into pieces, and the spiritual energy was sucked out, completely turning into scrap metal. Luo Hong was about to think of another way, when suddenly another figure appeared in the space. It's her. She was eaten too. Seeing Yu Ruox's face clearly, Luo Hong was overjoyed. The other party was a cultivator in the late stage of foundation building, and he must have been swallowed up, because of his carelessness like himself. As long as I save her, I can use her means to escape. In the face of life and death, Luo Hong didn't care about appreciating the beauty of Yu Ruox's wet clothes at this time. He rushed up and hugged her waist, shaking her vigorously and said, "Senior, wake up, wake up." Being tossed by Luo Hong so hard, Yu Ruoxi woke up slowly, with a flash of pink in her eyes, and the whole person coiled around Luo Hong's body like a water snake. Before Luo Hong could react, a pair of red lips blocked his mouth. A magical power full of charm was passed into Yu Ruox's mouth. Luo Hong's spiritual platform couldn't help but blur, and he only felt that when Yu was full of warmth and the person in his hand was so beautiful. No. Fortunately, the will to survive saved the last bit of clarity in Luo Hong's spiritual platform. He bit the tip of his tongue fiercely, and the severe pain made him sober. In just a moment, Yu Ruox's clothes were completely stripped off by Luo Hong in his confusion, and he could only wear his own clothes with difficulty. What was more dangerous was that the black water wall around the space was slowly pressing towards Luo Hong and the others, as if it felt that it was digesting too slowly. She was attacked by her own charm. I have to find a way to escape. Luo Hong grabbed Yu Ruox's smooth shoulders and pushed her away. After their lips parted, Luo Hong took a deep breath and his mind became clearer. However, before Luo Hong's hand touched the storage bag, he heard Yu Ruox's arrogant laugh. "This woman is so strong." Yu Ruoxi subconsciously used her own powerful magic power to bless her body. With Luo Hong's cultivation in the key refining stage, she was far from being a match. Seeing the black water wall getting closer and closer, Luo Hong was almost crying in anxiety. "Senior, spare my life." With his life at stake, Luo Hong didn't care about being gentle with women. He turned his head suddenly and wiped off the bloody sword marks on his forehead. I didn't expect that this would be the case when I reversed the spiritual dragon secret mark for the first time. In an instant, the spiritual patterns hidden in the body lit up with blue spiritual light, and surging magic power gushed out from Luo Hong's Danshan. Chapter 58, Secret Pattern of the Spiritual Dragon, Overload. The magic power filled his whole body and activated the dragon bone silver rune that had just been engraved on his spine. At this moment, Luo Hong only felt a constant flow of heat flowing out of his spine, slowly infecting his whole body along the blood vessels. If Luo Hong had time to take a look at the physical examination form, he would find that his energy value was soaring by dozens. But even if he didn't look at it, he immediately found that his strength was increasing at an extraordinary speed, far exceeding the increase brought by magic power. Finally, Luo Hong's strength overwhelmed Yu Ruoxi. The black water wall was close at hand. Luo Hong didn't have time to think about it and took out the jade dragon gourd from the storage bag. He bit off the bottle cork and controlled the jade dragon wine in it to gush out. "Do you like spiritual energy? I'll stuff you to death." Hundreds of kilograms of jade dragon wine were poured out, and the black water absorbed it all, and then the extremely rich spiritual white light illuminated the entire space. "Try it. This is a spiritual energy bomb with an equivalent of over 1 million. Seeing the effect, Luo Hong's face suddenly changed after just showing a smile of surviving a disaster. "Hiss, damn it, be gentle." Outside, the mountain-shaking python had flown to the stone pine forest near Houter Peak. This place is full of conical stone pillars that are more than 10 feet high. Because they look like pine trees, they are named Stone Pine Forest by the surrounding mortal towns. It is the most famous scenery around Houter Peak. But in the world of immortal cultivation, all immortal cultivators know that these stone pillars that spread over dozens of miles are traces left by a war between humans and demons in ancient times. The mountain shaking python spit out its snake's tongue slightly, and the smell of mortals in the wind made it crazy. It couldn't wait to enjoy the feast of flesh and blood. Suddenly, the huge snake body of the mountain shaking python curled up, roared and fell from the air, smashing many stone pillars. After falling to the ground, the mountain shaking python twisted its snake body crazily, messing up the surrounding terrain, and smoke and dust rolled. After a while, everything calmed down. The head of the mountain shaking python hung limply on the pile of rocks, and it had already died. After 2 muffled bangs, a pair of white claws tore open the flesh of the mountain shaking python, opening a hole large enough for a person to pass through. The white claws grasped the edge of the wound and pushed, and Luo Hong's upper body came out. He crawled hard on the black snake scales of the mountain shaking python, and soon pulled out his legs and Uruaxi, who was clinging to his legs. After getting out of trouble, Uruaxi still wanted to make trouble, and let go of Luo Hong's legs, and the whole person was about to wrap around him again. Sleep for a while. Luo Hong put his palms together to form a knife, and chopped Uruaxi's neck. With a click, she fell down. Is it broken? Luo Hong's heart skipped a beat, and his strength increased too much, and he couldn't control it. Catching Uruaxi's limp body, Luo Hong sniffed. Fortunately, she was not dead. After helping Uruaxi put on the clothes he had found, Luo Hong leaped to the snake's head, took out a small ink-colored bottle, and cast a spell to collect the spirit of the mountain shaking python. What a loss! What a loss! Luo Hong muttered with a painful look on his face. In order to kill the snake demon, he had to pour out 1/5 of the jade dragon wine in stock at once. After extracting the spirit, he had to collect the blood of the mountain shaking python. The essence of the jade dragon wine was in it. He would take it back and think of a way to refine it into spirit wine to recover some of the loss. Every second this matter was delayed, the loss of spiritual energy was tens of thousands. Otherwise Luo Hong would not be so prudent, and would definitely not be able to resist having sex with Uruaxi. Thinking of this woman's white body, Luo Hong couldn't help but feel dry in his mouth. What a loss. After a while, just when Luo Hong was about to put all the blood of the mountain shaking python into the jade dragon gourd, he had another impulse. No way, it's coming again. From the side, a figure wrapped in 5-color light flew over, and a long accumulated kick landed on Luo Hong's chest. Woo. The airwave exploded, and Luo Hong was kicked out heavily. After a series of dong 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 bang, he smashed through 5 stone pillars, before being embedded in the 6th stone pillar. Pa. Spitting out a mouthful of bloody saliva, Luo Hong put down his arms, that were on his chest. He was only slightly injured after such a heavy blow. At this moment, Luo Hong's image changed drastically. Every inch of his body was covered with green scales, and his face seemed to be wearing a crystal armor mask. His long black hair was flying, and he looked more like a demon than a human. This was the Zuanbing transformation, under the blessing of the magic power of the spiritual dragon secret method. Luo Hong called it spiritual dragon transformation. These crystal armors and scales were transformed from the spiritual energy transformed by the magic power. It was just a high-level spell, and Luo Hong did not become a demon. What is that? After the attacker kicked, he did not chase, but flew up and smashed the head of the mountain shaking python with a palm. However, he did not find what he was looking for, and his extremely fierce eyes stared at Luo Hong. This man was wearing a golden inner armor, and his exposed body was covered with monkey-like hair. Many joints on his body were covered with black shells, and his facial skin was like a dead tree. He was simply a monster. Demonization. As soon as Luo Hong finished speaking, the demonized monk flew up and punched him. This guy has lost his mind. It's either him or me. Luo Hong relied on the huge strength he had just obtained, and the defensive power of the spirit dragon transformation. He stepped on the stone pillar, and punched with all his strength. The 2 fists collided, and Luo Hong only felt a shock all over his body, but he was able to be evenly matched. However, the demonized monk twisted his waist, and kicked Luo Hong in the side of his face. After Luo Hong circled in the air, he was kneed again, and kicked him in the chin. The two heavy blows made Luo Hong's head buzz, but they still failed to break his defense. The demon monk's face changed, as if Luo Hong's resistance to blows exceeded his expectations. He immediately shouted and punched out like the horns of a wild bull. Pa! Luo Hong's white jade-like palms caught the blow. His eyes were slightly cold, and he was already angry. But the demon monk's martial arts skills far exceeded Luo Hong's. He saw that he shook Luo Hong's palms apart with the strength of his fists, leaving his whole body open. Seizing the opportunity, the demon monk swung a fist shadow. Shenman, Zui, Zigong, Tanzhong, Yutang, Cheyenne 2. These 6 key acupoints were hit hard, and the strength in them flowed through Luo Hong's muscles, and converged to the sea of ki. The demon monk's last move was the scorpion tail swing, which hit Luo Hong's sea of ki. Several strengths burst out together and finally broke the green scales near the sea of ki. Ha! Luo Hong spat out a large mouthful of blood and fell to the ground like a meteor, smashing through the rock and soil several feet deep, leaving a spider web-like crack on the ground. This is too much. Luo Hong was extremely angry. His strength and speed were not much different from those of the demonized monks, but there was a big difference in skills, so he was beaten one-sidedly. If this goes on, it's over, and I must go all out. The right thumb wiped the blood at the corner of his mouth, and then pressed it to the danshan in his abdomen, leaving a blood mark with a trace of magic power. The secret pattern of the spirit dragon, overload. In an instant, there seemed to be a sound of dragon roar. I recommend a Chinese comic Wuxian Wuxing. The fighting is very powerful, and it has the flavor of the ancient ancestors fighting against the sky and the earth. So I designed it here as the protagonist's Malay style. A blow after turning on the overload is equivalent to a blow in the Jiandan period, which is equivalent to the protagonist having a real treasure that can be used many times, and he will have a little confidence in doing things in the future. Chapter 59, Return of Investment. As if he had heard the dragon's roar, Qian Bao's consciousness recovered a little at this moment. He immediately found that the 4 demonic powers in his body were about to lose balance. At that time, he would either explode and die or be completely transformed into a demon. Even if he swallowed the spirit of the mountain shaking python right now, he could not use the circulation of the 5 element to save himself. Because although he used the means of forcing the secret methods of various schools to balance the power of the 4 demonic powers in his body, it was Takrid after all, and could not meet the harsh conditions of the circulation of the 5 element. Qian Bao immediately accepted the fact that he had failed, and he didn't even feel a little lost. The reason was that the mysterious cultivator below suddenly burst out with a power that made him palpitate. This person not only completed the Jade Bone chapter, but also subdued the spirit of the dragon. This is a great achievement that only the ancestor of the Zhao family, the Feeling Saint, has achieved. The surging mana flowed in the meridians, which made Luo Hong, who had completed the Ice Skin chapter, feel a little swollen and painful. After turning on the overload, the consumption of the blue pellets became visible to the naked eye. Luo Hong did not dare to delay, and with a bang, the ground beneath his feet sank a few more inches. The distance of 100 feet seemed to be just a few feet away. Luo Hong instantly came in front of the demon monk and burst out his brute force at this time, punching the demon monk in the heart. Hey! The cyan crystal armor on Luo Hong's fist was cracked by the huge force of the impact, and the demon monk's golden scale armor was penetrated by the fist, and the spiritual light dimmed to the extreme. Looking at the demon monk who fell to the ground, after breaking several stone pillars, Luo Hong immediately wiped out the blood mark on his abdomen. The overload state was too much of a burden on his body, so it could only be turned on for a moment. Flying to the edge of the deep pit, Luo Hong sensed that the demon monk's vitality was fading quickly. Just as he was about to make another knife, the demon monk actually spoke, as if he had regained consciousness. Fellow Daoist, I have offended you many times in my ignorance. Although I don't know your identity, I have something to give you. Qian? Is he a cultivator of the Qian family? Luo Hong had actually guessed it long ago. This person is a demon, and he has many secrets including the Ice Skin and Jade Bone method. He is obviously from the 5 families of Wuxian. Just as she was thinking, a jade slip flew out of the pit and hung a few steps away from Luo Hong. This jade slip records the core secrets of our 5 families, and also the great 5-element Tang Shengju that Khan has realized. Since you can practice the Jade Bone chapter to perfection, it is natural that you can practice this magical skill. Qian Qianbao said intermittently. He was on his deathbed, and he spoke by his last breath. It was already pitch black in front of him, so it didn't matter whether Luo Hong showed up or not. The great 5-element Tang Shengju. It sounds very powerful. Luo Hong moved the magic power in his palm and took the floating jade slip into his hand. Is this blood prohibition? Blood prohibition is a kind of prohibition that will still work after the death of the immortal cultivator. The strength is generally not high, but it can only be lifted by the blood relatives of the immortal cultivator who impose the blood prohibition. Luo Hong's consciousness was bounced away as soon as it touched the jade slip. If he forcibly broke through the blood prohibition, the skills in the jade slip would also be destroyed. Daoyao, don't worry about the prohibition in the jade slip. Khan has already explained it to my daughter. I only ask my daughter to help Daoyao to unlock the prohibition, and Daoyao can help me. Ahem. I have no regrets if I can see the dragon bone of Dacheng in this life. After saying the last word, Qian Qianbao's life was completely cut off. At this time, 4 light balls emerged from various parts of his body. They were the spirits of the 4 second level monsters. Luo Hong would naturally not let them go and put them all into the soul sucking bottle. Afterwards, Luo Hong lifted the spirit dragon transformation, and the green scales on his body instantly collapsed into green light spots. With his magic power suddenly reduced, he felt like a swimmer who had just come out of the water, and his body felt extremely heavy. In addition to the injuries on his body, Luo Hong felt pain in all his limbs and bones. He could not hold on any longer and half knelt down. Fortunately, the heat from his spine had not faded yet, and it was healing Luo Hong's physical injuries quickly. A quarter of an hour later, Luo Hong was basically healed. Although the heat had disappeared, Luo Hong knew that his physical body had undergone earth-shaking changes because of it, but now was not the time to think about these problems. After changing into spare robes and drinking a sip of jade dragon wine, Luo Hong looked inward at his danshan and suddenly felt like crying. It was so hard to raise a blue round bean-sized bean, but it was reduced by 1/3. Return the cost. Must return the cost. Luo Hong gritted his teeth and looked at the huge corpse of the mountain-shaking python. He took out 2 spare magic tools and began to cut the corpse. The entire corpse of the mountain-shaking python was too big, and Luo Hong did not have a storage bag to hold it, so he could only cut it into several pieces and pack them all away. Snake scales are used to make armor, snake tendons are used to make locks, snake bones are used to make weapons, snake gallbladders are used to make medicine, and snake meat, chop it up, and fertilize the fields. About an hour later, Yu Ruoxi slowly opened her eyes and was about to stand up when she suddenly felt a sharp pain in her neck. She rubbed the painful area for a long time, and some memories came back like a tide. Yu Ruoxi's face turned pale as she checked her body. After confirming that her yin essence was not lost, her panicked heartbeat gradually subsided. However, although her yin essence was not lost, there were 2 purple handprints on her shoulders. Yu Ruoxi looked at Luo Hong, who was still busy. The scales of the mountain-shaking python were extremely hard, and its skin and flesh were very tough. Luo Hong had a hard time handling it. He took a breath, and was about to continue to cut up the snake corpse, but an extremely cold air came from the back of his neck. Yu Ruoxi was holding a snow-white long sword against his neck. The other party did not hold back his breath, and Luo Hong knew exactly when he approached. The reason why he did not respond immediately was because he had not yet figured out how to deal with the matter. After standing there for a while, as if he had made up his mind, Luo Hong turned around, casually slapped off the top-level magic weapon against his throat, and said calmly, "Don't make a fuss. When I build my foundation, I will go to Yan'yu sect to propose marriage. I will try to have 2 children before I'm 30 years old. It would be best if it is a boy and a girl. The boy will be named Luo King and the girl will be named Luo Z. After that, I will be busy with the matter of forming a pill, so you have to take care of the children." "What are you talking about? My yin essence is not lost, and your yang essence is not broken. How can we have a child?" Tell me, what did you do to me when I was unconscious? Luoxi was embarrassed and annoyed by Luo Hong's inexplicable words and asked with red cheeks. Huh? Didn't she remember? Luo Hong couldn't help but think of the time when she was bewitched by the charm. In that state of confusion and confusion, it was very likely that she had no memory. In the current situation, she must not tell the truth, otherwise this woman would do something out of shame and anger. Luo Hong didn't want to fight with her. Senior, do you still remember that you were swallowed by the demon python? Luoxi turned her head and stared at the corpse of the mountain shaking python for a while and regained some memory. Chapter 60 Luoxi's doubts. That's true. How was I saved? This demon python is a level 3 demon beast. You couldn't have killed it, right? Luoxi was even more confused. Of course not. I was also swallowed by the demon python. When I was struggling to survive in its belly, the python suddenly twisted its body wildly and soon died. After I tore open the snake's belly and crawled out, I found out that the python and another monster died together after a bloody battle. This was the explanation Luo Hong had thought of long ago. Anyway, there was a big hole on the head of the demon python made by the demonized monk. He only needed to forge some traces to deceive the world. So, you saved me? Did I do anything strange at that time? After Luoxi remembered that she was swallowed by the demon python, she immediately remembered that she was backfired by the charm at that time, and her behavior might be a little weird. Did this kid take advantage of me? It was me who pulled you out of the demon python's belly. Your behavior was a little strange. At this point, Luo Hong couldn't help but look at Luoxi's lips, recalling the ecstasy she felt at the time. You boy, watch out for the sword. Luoxi knew the consequences of her charm backlash and immediately decided that Luo Hong had flirted with her. Her cheeks flushed with shame and she raised the frost sword again. This time, she wasn't trying to scare Luo Hong. Senior, spare me. You suddenly rushed over and I was so scared that I punched you in the neck. I did hit you a little too hard, but please forgive me for saving you. Luo Hong bowed his hands and bent down, finishing the lie he had just made up in one breath. Is that so? Luoxi touched her neck, which was still aching, and couldn't help but believe it 7 points in her heart. What's the explanation for the nonsense you said at the beginning? It's all because of the peerless beauty after the senior took off the veil. I was reckless for a moment, but my admiration for her is indeed real. Luo Hong stared at Luoxi's pretty face with burning eyes, pretending to be deeply fascinated. Humph, you should think more about how to build your foundation. You are so heavy-handed, you don't know how to be gentle with women at all. Luoxi put down the frost sword, turned around to avoid Luo Hong's gaze, and after leaving a word, she flew to find the body of the demonized monk to confirm whether what Luo Hong said was true. It's past for the time being. But there are too many ways to restore memory. Before that, I must build my foundation first, so that I can have an equal dialogue with this woman. Luo Hong breathed a sigh of relief. This response was more tiring than fighting. As soon as she relaxed, Luo Hong couldn't help but smile evilly. Luoxi, you are the only one in the world who has no right to say that I was too harsh. A few hours later, when Luo Hong had almost finished cleaning up the body of the mountain shaking python, Zhao Qingling and others finally found this place. They surrounded Qian Xianbao's body, each with a different look, and it was unknown what they were thinking. Luo Hong stood a little further away, watching the situation. Luoxi put on her veil again. After she talked to Zhao Qingling for a few words, everyone's eyes were focused on Luo Hong. My dear Luo, did you see with your own eyes that the Qian clan leader and the mountain shaking python fought to their deaths? The head of the Li clan felt sympathetic and asked first. I was in the belly of the mountain shaking python at the time, so how could I see it? I'm just guessing, based on what I saw. You also saw the wound on the python's head. It was undoubtedly caused by a huge force. The only one who could do it was the demonized Qian clan leader. Luo Hong's words were impeccable. No one could have imagined that a key refining cultivator could kill two beings comparable to the late Foundation establishment stage. The chest of the Qian family kid was also crushed by a huge force. The top defense magic weapon, the golden scale armor, was broken into this state. It must have been hit directly by the 1 UN heavy water bead. Alas, I don't know how far he had deduced that magic skill before he died. Grandma Sun shook her head and sighed, feeling that her efforts today at the risk of her life were in vain. Little friend Luo, I think you still have to let us see a complete demon corpse. Zhao Qingling was very unwilling. She paid such a great price, but in the end, the biggest reward was picked up by Luo Hong. This kid didn't even leave me a piece of snake scale. That won't do. I barely escaped death this time. No. If it weren't for my good luck, I would have been dead for sure. But since the culprit is already dead, I don't want to pursue the matter. The body of the demon python is just compensation. Senior Zhao, please don't try to take it. Luo Hong's finger was already on the divine mind talisman, and it was just a matter of sending a little magic power to activate it. The corners of Zhao Qingling's mouth twitched. The Zhao family couldn't afford to offend Li Huoyuan, so they had to give up. At night, in a bathhouse deep inside the Zhao family, Zhao Qingling and Yu Ruoxi were soaking in a medicinal bath as white as sheep fat. In the misty water, only the shoulders of the two beauties could be vaguely seen. Sister, do you really believe what that stinky boy said? After listening to Yu Ruoxi's story, Zhao Qingling rolled her eyes and provoked. Of course I don't believe it. Yu Ruoxi scooped up a handful of pool water and poured it on the purple handprint on her shoulder. How could such marks be caused? When he rescued me from the snake's belly, he must have pushed me away. Yu Ruoxi's cheeks were slightly red, but no one could notice it under the cover of heat. Thinking of the difference in their cultivation, she couldn't help but chuckle. It's really hard for him to have such strength. Sister, you can still laugh. You don't know how much advantage that brat has taken of you. Zhao Qingling swam to Yu Ruoxi's side and cleaned the bruises for her with pity. What can I do if I don't laugh? Kill that boy with a sword? Yu Ruoxi shook her head, then looked up at the starry sky and said, after all, he saved me, and he didn't take advantage of others. He can be considered a gentleman. How can I repay kindness with enmity? Are we just going to let it go like this? Sister, don't you want to know whether you have been molested or not? Zhao Qingling wanted to make some trouble for Luo Hong at this time. Of course I have to find out. After I return to the sect this time, I will prepare to form a pill. It just so happens that I want to borrow Master's mirror to see the past and get rid of the demons in my heart. Then, with the help of the power of this magic weapon, I will be able to remember what happened today. Yu Ruoxi had already made a plan. Whether she was willing or not, under the mirror, that shameful memory would definitely come back. Now that stinky boy can't escape the punishment of my sister. Zhao Qingling's mood suddenly became happy. Sister, why do you say it, as if I must have been flirted with by that boy? Yu Ruoxi rolled her eyes at Zhao Qingling with a slight frown. Of course, with a beauty like sister, which man can't help wanting to kiss her. Maybe, sister and that boy. Zhao Qingling covered her mouth and laughed secretly and wanted to say something more explicit. But Yu Ruoxi was too embarrassed to listen, so she reached out to cover Zhao Qingling's mouth. The two of them started to play around, stirring up the spring water. Chapter 61 Kan Mulan and Farewell. 3 days later, Luo Hong and Yu Ruoxi had already left Wushan. The Kan family was holding Kan Xianbao's funeral. The cultivators from the 5 families gathered to bid him farewell. Without a patriarch in the foundation building period, the Kan family is afraid that it will decline like the Zhao family. Why do they have to cling to the ancestral secret method? Zhao Qingling muttered to herself in the protection of the Zhao family cultivators. She never thought that there was anything wrong with her choice, but she just didn't understand. At this time, there were clanging footsteps outside the morning hall, and soon a girl wearing tiger head iron armor and holding a spear ran in. Looking at the coffin in the center of the morning hall, the girl lowered her head silently, and her black hair covered her eyebrows. Mulan, I'm so sad. After that day, Granny Sun looked a little hunched over, and her old age became increasingly heavy. She was only one step away from the coffin in the morning hall. Kan Mulan did not respond. Her hand holding the spear was shaking, because she was holding it too hard. Suddenly, as if she had reached her limit of endurance, she raised her spear and smashed it hard on the ground. With a bang, the whole morning hall shook 3 times. Kyan Milan then smashed it twice more, each time harder than the last, causing many guests to stagger. Milan, have you advanced to the foundation building stage? Zhao Qingling and other clan leaders immediately detected her cultivation level, based on the girl's aura. They were shocked at first, and then they all showed expressions of realization. It seems that Kyan Xianbao chose to fight hard, just because the Kyan family has a successor. I'm fine. Elders, did my father have any last words before he died? Kyan Milan raised her head, her eyes slightly red, but she didn't cry. She bowed and asked the 3 clan leaders. It's a pity that none of us could see Brother Kyan for the last time. This is Brother Kyan's storage bag. Milan, please keep it. The head of the Li clan shook his head regretfully and handed over a blood-stained storage bag. Sensing that her father's consciousness was still on the storage bag, Kyan Milan knew that no one had opened the storage bag before her. Thank you, elders, for your thoughtfulness. After saying thank you, Kyan Milan resolutely wiped out the remaining consciousness of her father in the world and probed her consciousness into the storage bag to search. Not there. Her face suddenly changed. Milan, is there something wrong? Zhao Qingling asked suspiciously. Nothing, but I didn't expect my father to carry the doll I played with when I was a child. May I ask you, elders, were there other cultivators present when my father died? The heads of the Sun and Li families looked at each other and then looked at Zhao Qingling at the same time. After all, Luo Hong and Yu Ruoxi were guests of the Zhao family. Milan, those 2 did not harm your father, and they are all disciples of giant and stage cultivators. Don't be angry with them. Zhao Qingling didn't want the new head of the Kyan family to die because of some unwise actions. Milan is also a reasonable person and will definitely not vent her anger on others. It's just that I want to know as much as possible about my father's death. I hope that the head of the Zhao family will help me. Kyan Milan bowed her head and saluted, hiding the gleam in her eyes. Who did my father give the jade slip to? We must find out. Near Shannyang City, or 1,000 miles away from Yan'yu sect, there is a spiritual tea garden jointly operated by several immortal cultivation families. This garden is rich in a kind of spiritual tea called Kingsin, which can make the drinker calm and clear-headed. The price is not expensive, and it is quite popular among the majority of immortal cultivators. Today is the day when the new tea is produced. Several stewards of the tea garden invited friends from their respective families and set up several tables in the tea viewing pavilion to taste tea and chat happily. These people are quite old. Although their cultivation is about the 12th level of key refining, they are senior managers in their respective families. In terms of power, they are 3 points higher than those family members in the foundation building stage who only know how to practice in their families. Brother Huang, your family has been on good terms with the Yan'yu sect for generations. Do you have any way to trade foundation establishment pills? Brother Song, have you received any news? Otherwise, with the strength of your Song family, you shouldn't worry about a few foundation establishment pills. Brother Huang, don't pretend to be confused. I don't believe you don't know that the Blood Forbidden Land will be closed for 60 years. All the immortal cultivation families with a little bit of strength in Yu Kingdom have known about this, and my Huang family naturally knows it too. In that case, Brother Song shouldn't have asked this question. You must know that in the next 60 years, the foundation establishment pills in our Yu Kingdom's immortal cultivation world will be one less, if one is eaten. Which immortal cultivation family that knows this news doesn't want to prepare more for themselves? Even if I have a way, I will leave it for myself. Although we have a good personal relationship, there is really nothing I can do about this. Please forgive me, brother. Hey, I really shouldn't have made things difficult for Brother Huang. Let's forget about the foundation establishment pill, but I have another thing I want to ask Brother Huang for help. My youngest son has reached the age of cultivating immortals. I would like to ask Brother Huang to help build a bridge, so that this child can have the honor of joining the Yan'yu sect. Haha, my dear brother, you have a good idea. If a male cultivator can join the Yan'yu sect, he will definitely have a good looking and talented dual cultivation partner. I, Huang, also had this idea when I was young, but unfortunately I was unable to fulfill my wish. Today, I will use my nephew to fulfill my wish. Thank you, Brother Huang. My youngest son has average talent. I don't ask him to build a foundation, but only ask him to expand the family and give birth to more descendants with spiritual roots. Alas, my dear brother, what you said is wrong. Since he has joined the Yanai sect and learned the dual cultivation technique, my nephew may not have no chance to build a foundation. Is it so amazing? It's not that I haven't tried dual cultivation before. Although I didn't use the secret method of the Yanai sect, the effect should not be much different. But it feels just a little faster than normal practice. Haha, my dear brother, you are cultivating with a female cultivator of the same level as yourself. If the other party is a senior who has established his foundation, it will be very different. Brother Huang, you are joking. We can only dream of such a dream. Haha, so it's just a chance. My dear nephew is very handsome. What if he encounters such a good thing? The two immortal cultivators dressed as scholars were talking excitedly. After drinking a sip of spiritual tea, they were about to discuss the newly released Yanai list. Suddenly, a strong breath of magic power descended, followed by an extremely gentle voice. Can you two give up this place for a moment? It turns out to be a senior from Yanai sect. My dear brother Song and I will leave immediately. By the way senior, would you like to taste some top grade Kinksin tea? When the scholar surnamed Huang saw the pattern on the person's robe, he knew the identity of the person. He immediately stood up and saluted respectfully, eager to please him. No need for that. We'll just talk and leave right away. The woman in white waved away Huang and Song who were bowing in front of her and said to the person behind her helplessly, you kid, why don't you come down? Are you so afraid of me? A young man in yellow stepped into the pavilion hesitantly, looking at the back of the woman in white, with mixed feelings. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, Received Foundation Building Pill. The woman in white and the young man in yellow robe were Yu Ruoxi and Luo Hong who were returning from Wushan. They were supposed to part ways in Shanghai City and return to their respective sects, but Yu Ruoxi suddenly asked Luo Hong to accompany her to taste the new tea, and took him to Kinksin Tea Garden. Under the strange looks of the two immortal cultivators who gave up the pavilion, Luo Hong sat down with a little timidity in his heart, took a clean cup, poured himself a cup of tea and drank it. This tea is good. It suits me very well. Luo Hong smacked his lips and was about to pour another cup with unsatisfied taste, but he noticed Yu Ruoxi's strange look and had to put down the teapot in a sullen manner. This kid, don't you really think I'm here to invite him to drink tea? How can a person who lacks wood in the 5 element be so dull? Yu Ruoxi was inexplicably upset, and she didn't feel like saying many things she wanted to say. She turned her palm over, and a pill with a strong medicinal fragrance appeared in her palm. Take this foundation building pill. Consider it a token of my gratitude for saving my life. A woman's heart is like a needle in the sea. It turns out that it was all about this matter. I was so anxious for nothing. Luo Hong relaxed at once. As long as Yu Ruoxi didn't raise her sword to chop him, everything would be fine. I have collected the corpse of a 3rd level monster. It's a great harvest. Senior, there is no need to make additional compensation. That was an apology from the 5 Wushan families. It has nothing to do with me. You saved my life, so I will give you a chance to build a foundation and change your life. Yu Ruoxi stretched out her hand in front of Luo Hong without allowing it to be refused, as if she was determined to repay this life-saving grace. Zhao Qingling had a secret talk with Luo Hong about the sudden appearance of the mountain-shaking python when they were at the Zhao family. The other party hoped that he could keep the matter secret so that they could stop pursuing the 4 monster spirits that disappeared from Qian Xianbao's body. Luo Hong agreed after some hesitation, one because he also hoped to make a fortune quietly, and the other because he noticed that Yanai sect had intervened in the matter. Otherwise, no matter how good the relationship between Yu Ruoxi and Zhao Qingling was, she would not have no reaction after encountering a disaster that almost killed her. The two must have reached some kind of deal behind the scenes. Picking up this foundation building pill, that countless key refining cultivators flocked to. Luo Hong was very calm in his heart, but he was a little curious about its taste. After all, it looked like marshmallows. Wait, if I accept this foundation building pill, won't I be even with you, Ruoxi? What if she recovers her memory in the future and comes to chop me with a sword? My cultivation level cannot surpass hers in a short period of time. No, I must make her owe me something, otherwise I will always feel uneasy. In fact, the mountain shaking python should have a share, but you gave me the foundation building pill, and I'm too embarrassed to take it all by myself. Luo Hong took out a small bottle specially used to hold spiritual liquid and gently placed it on the table in front of you, Ruoxi. I told you that the foundation building pill is HMM. This is 1 yuan heavy water. Yu Ruoxi immediately held back the words of refusal that were on the tip of her tongue. 1 yuan heavy water is a rare spiritual material that can be used to refine magic weapons, which is exactly what she urgently needs right now. It is this spiritual liquid. I can't use it anyway, so I will give it all to you. Luo Hong thought that, as long as he had the silver rune, he would be able to have as many spiritual objects as he wanted. After he went back to dissect the corpse of the mountain shaking python and cracked the secret of its condensation of 1 yuan heavy water. You are a little suspicious. Yu Ruoxi looked at Luo Hong for a while, and then, perhaps because she felt that she was too sensitive, she chuckled and looked away and put the small bottle into the storage bag. This thing is very useful to me. Since you are willing to give it to me, I will accept it without hesitation. Yu Ruoxi stood up, sacrificed the magic weapon, and flew into the air. Before leaving, she left a message. I will go into seclusion to form the elixir. When I return this time, I hope that, when I come out of seclusion, you will be a foundation building cultivator. Luo Hong looked at the beauty flying away quickly, and felt a little disappointed. This was the first time he had such a feeling towards a woman in his 2 lives. It's time to go back. Not long after Luo Hong left with the magic weapon, Huang and Song returned to the tea pavilion and looked at the tea set on the table without saying a word for a long time. Brother Huang, if I'm not mistaken, the young man is just a key refining disciple of Huang Feng Valley, and his appearance is also. How did he get the favor of that senior? The scholar surnamed Song was already past the age of being strong, and at this moment, he was envious and jealous to the point of going crazy. Brother Huang? Not getting a response, the scholar surnamed Song patted his old friend's shoulder. I'm sorry, Brother Song. I was distracted by something just now. Can you change someone to do the task you just asked me to do? I think my nephew might be more suitable. Why? My eldest son is plain looking. How can he stand out if he goes to the Yanyu sect, which is full of handsome men and beautiful women? Brother, what do you think of the appearance of the disciple from Huang Feng Valley? Except for being a little fair-skinned, there is nothing good about him. I wonder if the female cultivators of the Yanyu sect are used to seeing handsome men, so they will pay more attention to those with ordinary looks. Why don't you give it a try? Although the scholar surnamed Song felt that his brother's words were extremely unreliable, he had just seen a vivid example of success, so he couldn't help but hesitate. Luo Hong naturally didn't know that his short stay would actually affect the lives of 2 cultivators. After flying for more than 10 days, he returned to Fanghua Garden. Sir, did the trip go smoothly? Old Zuo came up to him at the first time and asked with concern. There are gains and losses. Has the garden been peaceful during the days I was away? Converting the loss of blue round pellets into jade dragon wine, Luo Hong lost about 150 kilograms of jade dragon wine on this trip, which is a heavy loss. However, the great success of the ice skin chapter and the unexpectedly refined jade bone chapter not only laid the foundation for Luo Hong's great way, but also made his physical cultivation advance by leaps and bounds. Thinking of the jade slip that recorded the great 5-element Tang Shengju, Luo Hong's heart was not so painful. Not to mention that there was a whole corpse of a 3rd level monster waiting for Luo Hong to study, but the expected results made him very happy. Therefore, Luo Hong couldn't tell whether he had lost or gained this time. Since the young master became the registered disciple of Elderly, I have never been secretly spied on by anyone again. I think those scoundrels have been scared and put away their claws. Zuo Leo bowed and replied, well, it's worth my effort. By the way, Mr. Zuo, your martial arts skills are probably ranked among the best in the martial arts world. The feeling of being beaten by a demonized cultivator with his martial arts skills without any chance to fight back was really uncomfortable. Luo Hong hoped to make up for this shortcoming as soon as possible. Why do you want to ask this, young master? I think I'm the best in the martial arts world of U State. When I was young, I even made a name for myself as the extraordinary boxing saint. But compared to a cultivator like you, no matter how high my martial arts skills are, they are useless. The fist force that has been cultivated for decades cannot even break the protective spirit shield that a cultivator in the key refining stage casually releases. Before meeting Luo Hong, Mr. Zuo had put aside the disputes in the martial arts world and lived in seclusion in the market as a winemaker. But at this moment, when talking about the gap between secular warriors and cultivators, he also smiled bitterly because of the cruel reality. Chapter 63 Shortcomings. Although Master Zuo was very puzzled by his son's sudden desire to learn martial arts, he was smart enough not to delve into it and taught him everything he knew without reservation. Luo Hong was indeed a cultivator. Not only was he extremely intelligent and quick to understand, but he also had control over his body that was unmatched by ordinary people. Relying on his inner vision, Luo Hong could accurately control every inch of his muscles. He did not need to practice internal skills, but only needed to specialize in various martial arts techniques. Therefore, Master Zuo had nothing to teach him in just 1 month. When he could easily send out a force through the air, Luo Hong knew that his practice in secular martial arts had come to an end. Although skills were important, they were not the essence, and as a cultivator, he should not pursue them too much. However, after finishing his martial arts practice, Luo Hong still did not start practicing basic skills, even though he was not far from the bottleneck of the 13th level of key refining. The reason was a side effect of opening the secret pattern of the spirit dragon that Luo Hong had not expected in advance. The spiritual energy released by the blue round particles was too pure. In a short period of time, it actually refined the mana in his danshan, so that the purity of the mana that Luo Hong painstakingly controlled doubled or tripled. Although taking the 5-element fruit can reduce it, it will take about half a year. Luo Hong does not intend to waste this time. The human body has 3 treasures: essence, energy, and spirit. Nowadays, immortal cultivators focus on the practice of energy, absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth, refine it into their own mana, and improve their life level in order to achieve immortality. Luo Hong now knows that the improvement of the life level of immortal cultivators is related to certain characteristics and rules of the spirit. The practice of the way of energy is most closely related to the spiritual energy, so it is also the easiest way to improve the life level of immortal cultivators, so it can prevail in the world. However, the improvement of the life level is an overall improvement. If you only practice the way of energy, the shortcomings of the essence and spirit will become more obvious in the later stages, which will eventually cause a huge bottleneck. Most of the immortal cultivators knew about this, but they still did not make any changes. It was not that they were unwilling to cultivate the spirit and soul, but that the cultivation of ki alone had taken up their entire life's energy, leaving them no time to consider other things. Luo Hong's original plan for cultivating immortals was to focus on the cultivation of ki in the early stage, to increase his lifespan first, and then consider the problem of spirit and soul. However, plans cannot keep up with changes. First, the strength of his soul was insufficient, which limited his use of the silver rune. Later, he had an adventure and his blood transfusion from the dragon bone greatly increased his energy. Now that he had half a year of free time, Luo Hong had the idea of cultivating the spirit and soul. Energy: 2500 mana. 6500 yuanshan. 40 to these are the data of Luo Hong's 3 treasures now. Compared with before, his energy has increased 100 times in one breath, and his mana has also increased by 2 times. Only the strength of the yuanshan has increased slightly, because of a life and death crisis. Increasing energy by 100 times does not mean that strength has increased 100 times. It also includes aspects such as vitality, endurance, self-healing ability, and resistance to abnormal states. I now have a huge force of 5,000 pounds with my physical body alone, which is about 20 times that of the immortal cultivators of the same level. If I add mana, I can easily have a force of 10,000 pounds. After all, the larger the base of the physical body, the better the effect of mana blessing. The giant force technique that can only increase the force of 1,000 pounds is a chicken rib for me now. Luo Hong looked at the ironwood that he crushed casually and recalled the battle with the demonized cultivator. The shocking punch I blasted at the end was not only because the spirit dragon secret pattern was overloaded, which instantly increased my mana several times, but also because of the blessing of the spirit dragon transformation spell and the dragon bone hot blood. Although it was just a punch, it integrated all the achievements of my immortal cultivation so far. At present, there are 3 ways that Luo Hong can think of to improve on the path of essence. First, spend several hours every day to activate the silver rune of Jiaogu on the spine to completely complete the unfinished blood exchange. It is expected that Luo Hong will have a force of 10,000 pounds with his physical body. Second, practice the great 5-element Tang Shengju, but Luo Hong does not want to contact the 5 families in Wushan before building the foundation. The divine mind rune is not omnipotent. When the benefits are great enough, it is inevitable that people will take risks. If Luo Hong wants to see the blue round particles take shape in his lifetime, he should do less to cross the level of the enemy. Third, engrave new silver runes of Jiaogu to further cleanse the blood and refine the essence. Luo Hong got a total of 9 silver runes of Jiaogu, and according to his research on silver runes, these 9 silver runes are related to each other, and theoretically they are all suitable for engraving on the spine. But this path cannot bypass the strength of the soul. Engraving the bones first engraves the soul, which is not feasible in a short period of time. The 3 treasures of spirit, energy, and spirit complement each other. If any one of them has obvious shortcomings, it will greatly affect the other 2. Luo Hong's cultivation of essence and ki has already reached the extreme of a cultivator in the ki refining stage, so the shortcomings of the Yuanshan naturally stand out. Current research shows that the core of the first path of essence is a silver rune hidden in various parts of the body. The core of the first path of ki is the spirit that exists between heaven and earth, and Luo Hong knows very little about the first path of spirit. The main difficulty in studying the Yuanshan is that the Yuanshan is difficult to observe. In fact, the Yuanshan's derivative power, the divine consciousness, is exactly the means of observation that Luo Hong used when studying the 2 paths of essence and ki. When studying the Yuanshan itself, this means of observation naturally fails. The essence of scientific research is to summarize the laws through observing phenomena, systematize the laws in a mathematical way, and test them in practice. When even direct observation is not possible, research will naturally be much more difficult. However, it is not completely impossible. After all, there are many situations in actual research that cannot be observed directly. At this time, indirect observation methods can be used for research, but it will be more troublesome. To study the Yuanshan, we must first know what the Yuanshan is. There is no need to give a direct answer to the essence at the first time, but we also need to clarify the direction. There is no doubt that the Yuanshan is the soul of the cultivator, located in the Niwen Palace. Next, we will list the known characteristics of the Yuanshan. First, the soul is fragile. If it is exposed to the world for a long time, it will dissipate. Second, the soul can use the invisible power called consciousness. The stronger the soul is, the stronger the consciousness it can control is. However, this connection is not strong. Han Lao was troubled by the fact that his consciousness was too strong and his soul was difficult to control for a period of time. Third, when a cultivator breaks through the nascent soul stage, the soul will turn into a nascent soul, move from the Niwen Palace to the Danshan, and can travel in the world for a long time. Fourth, the strength of the soul can be increased explosively. When a cultivator breaks through the realm, or has an epiphany, the strength of the soul will soar. Fifth, the soul can devour other souls. The most typical example is to seize the body. After the seizure is successful, the strength of the soul will also soar, and the extent is related to the strength of the soul of the devoured. Sixth, the soul can be divided. The wonderful method of dividing the soul is one of the core magical powers of the Great Evolution. Seventh, the soul can be engraved with silver runes. Chapter 64. First exploration of the soul. After writing the 7th item, Luo Hong stopped writing. He thought of these things at once. The next step is to extract information and summarize the rules. The Yuanshan is formed by the transformation of mortal soul after the first ray of mana is generated in the danshan of the cultivator. The divine consciousness also appears at this moment, and then continues to grow with the cultivation of the realm of the cultivator. Because the Yuanshan can be used as a carrier of the silver rune, the divine consciousness can control the spells condensed by the spiritual energy, thus causing the mutual influence between the spirit, the essence, and the key. But in essence, the Yuanshan is neither a silver rune nor a spiritual particle. So what is it? Luo Hong summarized here, and found that he was missing an important link, that is, what is the power that promotes the growth of the Yuanshan, and where does it come from? The growth of mana comes from the spiritual energy that the cultivator absorbs and refines every day, and the growth of energy comes from the benign transformation of the silver runes on the body of the cultivator. So what power does the growth of the Yuanshan rely on? The spiritual energy can be ruled out first. Since Luo Hong's cultivation, he has experienced many Yuanshan upgrades after realm breakthroughs, and has never encountered a situation where the spiritual energy flows into the Niwen Palace to nourish the Yuanshan. It can be seen that the growth of the Yuanshan does not rely on spiritual energy. Similarly, although the Yuanshan can carry silver runes, there is a limit to its carrying capacity. Obviously, the silver runes are a burden to the Yuanshan, not a source of power. The research has encountered a bottleneck, but Luo Hong is not discouraged. It is expected to encounter difficulties. He took out a jade bottle, poured out a rose red pill from it, and swallowed it after calming down. This pill is called Soul Nourishing Pill. It is a low-level pill that is less popular than the White Lotus pill. Not only because the materials are hard to find, but also because there is no demand for it by immortal cultivators. Although the Soul Nourishing Pill is said to be able to strengthen the Yuanshan of immortal cultivators, the effect is really worrying. Even if 10 pills are taken in a row, the strength of the Yuanshan will not change significantly. However, Luo Hong just wants to explore the power absorbed when the Yuanshan is strengthened, so this pill can still be used. Concentrating his mind, Luo Hong sensed the changes in the Yuanshan under the effect of the Soul Nourishing Pill. As soon as the Soul Nourishing Pill entered his stomach, it turned into a cool air that rushed straight to the Niwen Palace and wrapped up the spherical Yuanshan. At this time, the soul seemed to be stimulated, and the surface fluctuated slightly. After a while, as the cool air disappeared, the Niwen Palace returned to its original calm. That's it? It's done? Luo Hong smiled bitterly. The effect was really pitifully weak. The soul value on the physical examination form did not move at all. The unit he set was not large. Although the soul nourishing pill was lame, Luo Hong still gained something. At least it proved that the soul could absorb the unknown power when it fluctuated. This just fits the phenomenon that the soul strength of the cultivator increases after experiencing great joy or great sorrow or drastic changes in mood. But it still couldn't solve the most core problem. After thinking hard for a while, Luo Hong stood up and left Fanghua Garden. Half an hour later, Luo Hong came to the sky above a lush mountain and landed in a group of vacant bungalows. After turning around for a while, he stood in front of a slightly larger stone house. The door of the stone house was wide open, and Luo Hong could see at a glance that there was an old man in grey who was concentrating on carving a piece of yellow pear wood. "What are you doing here, nephew?" the old man in grey asked without raising his head, and his hands did not stop carving. Luo Hong bowed his hands in greeting, but in his heart he had already sorted out the details of this person again. This place is a temporary residence for new disciples. It seems so deserted because all the new disciples in the previous round have moved out. However, even if it is full of new disciples, managing this place is not a high position and power. Instead, it is responsible for heavy tasks such as refining equipment. This uncle surnamed Yi, who is in the middle stage of foundation building, is not the last among the foundation building cultivators in Huangfeng Valley, but he is a very marginal figure. His real identity is the young leader of Kaiansu sect in the far west, but he is a young leader who has lost power. Not only does he have no power at all, but he is also being hunted by the current leader. Originally, he wanted to spend the rest of his life in Huangfeng Valley in peace, but because the great evolution art he was practicing was about to break through the third level, he developed an ambition that he shouldn't have. According to the original timeline, he would die in Han Laomo's inverted 5-element array in a few years and become a career. Judging from the time, even if this Uncle Yi didn't start to contact his old subordinates, he had already had the idea. As long as he was not really pure and indifferent, Luo Hong had the confidence to get the great evolution art from this person. I have come to ask Senior Yi for the Kaiansu sect's unique skill, the great evolution art. The grey-clothed old man paused with the carving knife in his hand and stared at Luo Hong with a pair of extremely bright eyes and actually released the pressure of his spiritual consciousness at the first time. It's good to be anxious, which just shows that there is something wrong in his heart. Senior, don't panic. I'm Li Huoyuan's newly accepted disciple, not a member of the Kaiansu sect. As long as this person still wants to live in Huangfeng Valley, it is impossible to offend the elders in the Jiandan period. As soon as Luo Hong thought about this, he felt that the invisible pressure from all around was relieved. Do you have any proof? The grey-clothed old man looked extremely unhappy. Whether what Luo Hong said was true or false, he was in trouble. If it was true, the Jiandan elders in the Huangfeng Valley knew his identity, but never revealed it. Now they sent disciples to ask for the great evolution secret. Did they know what he was planning? If it was false, it would be even more troublesome. His identity was probably exposed. Those who betrayed him might have ambushed outside the valley. The idea of revenge should be strangled. Senior, do you recognize this talisman, or do you want me to disturb my master? Luo Hong took off the divine consciousness talisman on his shoulder and handed it to the grey-clothed old man. Of course, he would not really activate it, otherwise Li Huoyuan would not be able to explain it. No need. The grey-clothed old man recognized at a glance that the divine consciousness sealed in the talisman came from a Jiandan stage cultivator and confirmed Luo Hong's identity without even taking it. What do you mean, Elder Li? Although I'm from Kaiansu sect, I have been behaving myself in the valley all these years and have not neglected any of the affairs arranged by the sect. I have long been a true disciple of Huangfeng Valley. If Elder Li wants to take my skills by force, I'm afraid it will not be justified. The divine thought talisman is the imperial sword bestowed by a cultivator in the Jiandan stage. The old man in grey thought that Luo Hong came here at the instruction of Li Huoyuan. Senior Yi, you are worrying too much. My master is a gentleman and would never do such a dirty thing. It's because a few days ago, when I asked my master for the skills that can be used to cultivate the primordial spirit, my master mentioned the Kaiansu sect in the far west and its core skills Dainju, and praised it very much. Later, when I asked how I could get this skill, my master told me about Senior Yi. So I came here to seek the skills for myself, and I'm definitely not using my master's name to seize things by trickery. Senior Yi, although I'm only a key refining disciple, I still have some family background. If it's just a few spirit stones, please just ask. Since this person wanted to win over his old subordinates, he must not be short of spirit stones. Luo Hong directly took out the things he urgently needed, and the deal was half done before it was even discussed. Chapter 65, Great Evolution Divine Art. The grey-clothed old man did not reply immediately, but looked at Luo Hong carefully for a while, and then said with interest, my friend is actually a rare cultivator with a powerful soul. With your talent, it will be no problem for you to join the Kaiansu sect. No wonder you want to cultivate your soul. Senior Yi, did you agree? Luo Hong's face lit up. No, I refuse. The grey-clothed old man fiddled with the carving knife again, and sawdust flew everywhere, and a demon dragon quickly took shape. Although I'm no longer a member of the Kaiansu sect, I cannot teach the sect's unique skills privately. This is not a problem that can be solved by spirit stones. Pretend? If Luo Hong did not know that this person did not hesitate to take out the Dainju as a bargaining chip for survival in the face of life and death, he would really think that he was a virtuous person who was attached to the old school. There are people who cannot be solved by spirit stones, but they definitely do not include you, Senior Yi. Luo Hong did not waste words and patted the storage bag and called a full 500 low-level spirit stones to the table, pressing down many carved wood carvings. Senior Yi, I'm willing to exchange 500 spirit stones for the first 2 levels of the Great Evolution Technique. Luo Hong got a good deal here. The first 4 levels of the Great Evolution Technique are actually centered on the art of soul differentiation. There is not much difference between getting the first 2 levels and getting the first 4 levels. The price of the technique is always the most expensive in the whole book, and the later the levels are, the more expensive it is. If you only want to buy the first 2 levels, 500 spirit stones are more than enough. The grey-clothed old man put away the carving knife, stretched out his hand to grab a spirit stone that rolled off the table, and his face was barely keeping calm. After all, he was the young master of the Kaiansu sect, and he had seen large amounts of spirit stones. Luo Hong's move was not enough to embarrass him, but it was enough to make him excited. Young friend is willing to spend so many spirit stones for the first 2 levels of the Great Evolution Technique. You should not just want to cultivate your soul. The old fox has so many questions. To be honest, I have decided to participate in the Blood Forbidden trial in 2 years. If I can strengthen my soul before that, I will surely increase my chances of survival. Moreover, my master has also warned me that it is difficult to practice the Great Evolution Technique. If I insist on this path, it will affect my practice of the right way. Therefore, I just want to try it out. The first 2 levels are enough. Luo Hong's meaning is very clear. He is under pressure from the Blood Forbidden trial and will not hesitate to pay a high price. But the senior should not think of charging too much. He is very clear about the shortcomings of the difficult practice of the Great Evolution Technique. You want to go to the Blood Forbidden land? The grey-clothed old man re-examined Luo Hong and overturned the image of him as a young master of a cultivation family in his mind. Those who dare to enter that ghost place to fight for their lives are either arrogant or people with a strong heart for the Tao. After playing with the spirit stone in his hand for a few times, the grey-clothed old man spoke again. I agree to this deal, and I will only charge you 400 spirit stones, but you have to agree to one condition of mine. Senior, just say it. As long as I can do it, I will do my best. Luo Hong put on a look of determination. Don't be nervous, my condition is just a matter of convenience for you. You just need to collect some spirits of monsters in the forbidden area. As long as you collect 10, it will be fine. If it is a level 1 top level spirit, 2 will be enough. The grey-clothed old man stretched out 2 fingers, his eyes sparkling, as if he really needed the spirits of monsters. To level 1 top level spirits of monsters? I can't find this either. Luo Hong had 4 level 2 spirits of monsters, and 1 level 3 spirit on him. The price offered by the grey-clothed old man made him feel like he had money, but couldn't spend it. Luo Hong naturally agreed to this empty promise, but whether he would do it or not depended on his mood. In the bloody forbidden land, he was going to execute a long-planned plan. This matter concerned his great path and he could not be distracted by any affairs. Afterwards, the grey-clothed old man copied part of the content of a jade slip in front of Luo Hong and handed it to Luo Hong together with a soul-collecting bottle. After the matter was settled, Luo Hong returned to his own courtyard and could not wait to comprehend the famous Dainju. You know, Han Lao Mo relied on this technique to bully many people in the human world with his spiritual consciousness, and even in the spirit world, he benefited a lot. After closing his eyes for a while, Luo Hong showed an excitement that it was as expected, but soon turned into an angry look. You actually used a simplified version of the Dainju to trick me. The first level of the Dainju consists of 2 parts. One is the method of strengthening the cultivation of the primordial spirit, and the other is the art of dividing the spirit. The former is not a problem. Luo Hong tried to guide the manner into the meridians in the head and practiced it. The surface of the primordial spirit immediately fluctuated slowly, and the effect was far better than taking the soul nourishing pill. The latter soul separation technique is very wrong. Ordinary soul separation techniques are just to forcibly split a part of the original soul, which is extremely damaging to the soul itself. Therefore, except for those immortal cultivators who are born with strong souls, most immortal cultivators do not have many soul separations. The soul separation technique of Dainju is very delicate in comparison. the soul separation is small and numerous, and the loss to the soul is extremely weak. Even if only the first level of Dainju is cultivated, the average immortal cultivator can separate more than 10 souls. Some people with natural talents in the soul can have more. The Dain soul separation technique is similar to the method of strengthening the soul, but the degree of stimulation is different. When performing the Dain soul separation technique, the soul of the cultivator will precipitate a small ball that is much smaller than the soul itself under its special fluctuations. This process is a bit like the soul giving birth. The small ball is the initial form of the Dain soul separation. At this time, the soul separation is very fragile and must be placed around the soul for nurturing. When the small ball approaches the Yuanshan, it will spontaneously move around it. This is where the simplified version of the Great Evolution Ju dug a trap. The small ball can change its position during the gestation process, but after it is formed, its position is fixed. Even if it is driven out of the Niwen Palace, the position it occupies cannot accommodate a new small ball. This point is clearly mentioned in the Jade Slip, and then a method of placing the split soul is recommended to the practitioner. Although Luo Hong has not started to practice the Great Evolution split soul technique, a little calculation can lead to the conclusion that the use of space in the recommended method is not the optimal solution. It is obvious that they are bullying ordinary believers who don't understand mathematics. Good guy, using this method to place the split soul, at most 5 can be placed, which is more than half of the limit. The disciples of Kaiansu sect all drive puppets to fight. If there are more than half of the split souls, it means more than half of the combat power is missing. It's really a good calculation. Although he was very unhappy about being tricked, Luo Hong had a solution, so he was not too angry. On the contrary, he was very interested in the phenomenon that after the split soul was formed, even if it left the placement position, it was impossible to place a new split soul. Could it be that the place where the Yuanshan resides is really not just the Niwen Palace? Chapter 66, Projection Outside the Domain. Originally, Luo Hong would never have such a guess. After all, it was too jumpy. The Yuanshan was clearly in the Niwen Palace, so how could it be in another place? But in the Jade Slip, in addition to the secret techniques, there was also a record left by the Great Evolution God, most of which talked about the key points of the Great Evolution Ju, that is, the method of finding the corresponding meridians. The rest were some creative ideas for the subsequent techniques of the Great Evolution Ju, similar to the existence of notes, so it was very messy and very obscure for low-level cultivators. Because it contained many secret words and original terms, Luo Hong couldn't understand it. Other cultivators probably gave up cursing when they saw this. However, Luo Hong knew how fierce the Great Evolution God was, so he bit the bullet and hoped to find the guidance of the senior masters from a bunch of idiots' nonsense. In the end, he found an interesting record. It told the story of the Great Evolution God being attacked by the outer demon. Needless to say, the result of the attack was that the outer demon not only failed to devour the Great Evolution God's soul, but was also lured to the human world by his design and devoured a part of his essence. Therefore, the Great Evolution God obtained some of the outer demon's memories, most of which were gray scenes, until the end when a light group surrounded by many small light spots appeared. At this time, the memory also contained the violent emotional fluctuations of the outer demon, but before that, it was all calm. The record stopped here, but it caused Luo Hong to think deeply. The extraterritorial demon is an obstacle that cultivators cannot get around on their way to becoming immortals. It is the cause of most of the demons in the hearts of cultivators. It especially likes to take advantage of the cultivators' breakthroughs and devour their souls to replace them. Its purpose in coming to the human world is to devour more souls, as if the souls are the source of its power. I have never thought about how the extraterritorial demons, since they are outside the domain, can affect cultivators across the interface. Unless the soul is a coordinate. If it is assumed that the soul has a projection outside the domain, then based on the phenomenon that the extraterritorial demons will invade when the cultivators break through, and the soul strength is about to increase, it is not difficult to infer that when the soul strength increases, the projection of the soul outside the domain will make a noise enough to attract the extraterritorial demons. The most likely cause of this noise is the rapid influx of power required to strengthen the soul, and 80% of it is the grey fog that fills the extraterritorial space. It is said that when high-level cultivators experience great joy or sorrow, they may also attract demons from outside the domain, but low-level cultivators do not have this problem. Based on my hypothesis, this is obviously because as the strength of the soul increases, the grey fog attracted by the soul fluctuation will increase, and the movement will become louder and louder, eventually attracting the spying of demons from outside the domain. The outside world is really a place that is difficult to explore. Luo Hong looked up at the sky, and the flickering stars in the night sky made him feel awe. I don't know how many of them are the projections of the souls of the great cultivators, and I don't know what level the soul must reach to emit light that can be seen across the interface. After studying for several days, the essence of the soul is still confusing, which may become a long-term topic, but the principle of strengthening the soul has been analyzed. Although the results are yet to be verified, this does not prevent Luo Hong from using it in advance. Since the soul needs power from outside the domain, Luo Hong will satisfy it. There are currently two methods that can be used. One is to create as many split souls as possible. Because the spirit division has the same growth potential as the original spirit, the more spirit divisions are divided, the more extraterritorial power is absorbed under the same fluctuation range, and the faster the overall strength of the original spirit increases. The Great Evolution technique uses this method. Its core spirit division secret technique is to cultivate a small ball of divine thoughts that is not enough to become a spirit division through the maintenance of the original spirit on the close-range divine thoughts, until it grows strong enough to become a spirit division. The ordinary spirit division secret technique requires a large number of divine thoughts to be divided from the beginning. Although this can directly create spirit divisions, it also greatly limits the number of spirit divisions. The huge difference in the number of spirit divisions will lead to a huge difference in the speed of the increase in the strength of the original spirit. Second, use the siphon effect that occurs when the strength of the original spirit reaches the critical point. When the life level of the cultivator is improved, the strength of the cultivator's original spirit will also soar. This phenomenon confirms the existence of the siphon effect. The location of the critical point is hidden in the division of the number of layers of the Great Evolution technique. Every time the soul breaks through the critical point of strength, it will cause a more intense siphon effect. In practice, every time a layer of the Great Evolution technique is broken through, the strength of the cultivator's soul will be greatly improved. Luo Hong divides the soul realm in this way. The strength of one layer of the Great Evolution technique is one evolution, and two layers is two evolutions, which is simple and clear. After the soul realm is improved, there will be another change, that is, the protection range of the soul is greatly increased. This means more positions for the divine mind balls, that is, more soul divisions. It is very difficult to reach the critical point, that is, to break through the soul realm. Even if you practice the secret art of soul division of the Great Evolution technique, it will take a long time. From the second evolution to the third evolution, it took Master Yi Xiao more than 100 years. This efficiency obviously cannot satisfy Luo Hong. At this time, Luo Hong thought of a more radical measure, that is, to imitate the Great Evolution God and devour the extraterritorial demon. The extraterritorial demon was born in the grey fog, which is the best supplement to strengthen the soul. However, this move is extremely dangerous. Luo Hong, who has had 2 experimental accidents, has completely learned his lesson, and will never use himself for experiments easily again. He needed a test subject who was at least in the foundation building stage. If the cultivation level was low, the Yuan Shen would not be strong enough to serve as bait. There is no rush for this matter. There will be plenty of opportunities when the 6 sects of the demonic path invade the kingdom of Yu. Luo Hong suppressed his crazy thoughts and calmly practiced the Great Evolution secret art. After 3 days of seclusion, he successfully separated 4 small balls of divine thoughts. At this time, the Yuan Shen felt a little weak. Luo Hong decisively stopped dividing the small balls of divine thoughts, and instead spent half a day practicing the Great Evolution art every day, to strengthen the Yuan Shen and nurture the unformed split spirit. The remaining half a day was spent using magic power to wash bones, and refine blood to strengthen the body. Luo Hong spent his days in this way, and time soon passed half a year later. During this period, except for Han Laomo who occasionally came to ask him for magic, no one disturbed him. The Li sisters seemed to have stayed in the Li family for something. They had not returned to the valley for more than half a year. Luo Hong was just a side branch of the Li family and neither understood nor cared about the inside story. Anyway, Li Huoyuan was covering everything, so there would be no big problems. At this time, Luo Hong's mana purity had dropped to the value he had calculated, so he divided his daily time into 3 equal parts, cultivating the 3 element of spirit, energy, and spirit together. The data on the physical examination form would steadily increase every day, and immersed in this happiness, Luo Hong spent the years like days. If it weren't for Master Zuo who would ask him to cast drain and summon spirits every once in a while, he would probably not even know the spring and autumn. Chapter 67, Inner Demon. 2 years later, Yan'yu sect, Chiksha Peak. Duobao stood outside a building full of spiritual energy, playing with a crystal ball artifact boredly, as if waiting for something. Strange, it's been 3 days, why hasn't Master Yu responded yet? Isn't it said that under the magical power of the heart mirror, 1 day is equal to a 60-year cycle? Master Yu is only 100 years old, there is no reason why he hasn't woken up yet. Duobao muttered to herself. She sent a sound transmission talisman into the building yesterday, but she has not received a response after waiting so long, and she couldn't help but complain in her heart. Duobao didn't know that Yu Ruoxi had already woken up. At this time, she was hugging her chest with her left hand and her right palm flat in front of her eyes. Her eyes were full of disbelief and her ears were red. Ever since Yu Ruoxi regained the memory of that day in the snake's belly with Luo Hong under the magical power of the heart mirror, she has been maintaining this posture. That boy, he just told the truth at the beginning. Under the veil, Yu Ruoxi bit her red lips slightly, feeling ashamed and annoyed. He and I have already been like this, what's the difference between losing my virginity to him? But that boy's only at the key refining stage, and his aptitude doesn't look good. How can he be my Taoist partner? Yu Ruoxi's face was full of reluctance, thinking that she was peerless and had the hope of forming a pill before she was 100 years old, but fate was so cruel, arranging such an unmatched marriage. Mother, what should I do? Yu Ruoxi was born in a wealthy and noble family in the mortal world. She was trained by her mother to be a lady from a noble family since she was a child. It was only later that she was accidentally discovered by the deacon disciple of the Yan'yu sect that she had excellent aptitude for cultivating immortals, so she joined the Yan'yu sect. Therefore, her ideas and concepts were very different from those of the immortal cultivators from the immortal cultivation family. At that moment, because she was seen and touched by Luo Hong, she seriously considered whether to marry him. One is a talented cultivator who is expected to form a pill soon, and the other is a low qualified and in the key refining stage. If they are orthodox cultivators from a family of cultivators, there is no need to even think about it. There is no possibility between the two. Even the stronger party will kill to prove the truth, in order to understand the obsession in his heart. Yu Ruoxi's own latest thoughts have not changed much because of nearly 100 years of meditation and practice, but she also has a heart for Taoism. Taoist companions are a very important part of the road to cultivation, and she doesn't want to be too compromising. At the moment, her heart is extremely entangled, and her thoughts are tangled. Originally, a woman should ask her parents about marriage, but at Yu Ruoxi's age, her parents are naturally immortal. And she is about to try to form a pill, and her master, Fairy Chiksha, can't make the decision for her, so this matter can only be decided by herself. After thinking for a long time, Yu Ruoxi felt that she had just learned about this matter, and her emotions were a little unstable, so it was not appropriate to make a decision immediately. It will take at least 20 to 30 years to refine the elixir in seclusion. By the time I come out, I may have forgotten about it. After calming down, Yu Ruoxi put away the mirror and pushed the door open. Uncle Yu. Duobao girl shouted in surprise. I received the sound transmission note. I will go to find Uncle Nangang. You can go back. The sound transmission note that Yu Ruoxi received said that her master, Fairy Chiksha was going to retreat to refine an important elixir. If she wanted to ask about the elixir, she could go to another giant unstage cultivator in the sect, Nangang Wan. After sending away the nephew who came to report the news, Uruaxi flew away from Chiksha Peak with a flying tool. After a few hours, she arrived at a secluded mountain in Yanayu sect. Although this place is a residence of a great cultivator in the giant unstage, it is only built with spiritual bamboo. Compared with the caves of other cultivators of the same level, it is a little shabby, but it is very elegant and delicate. As soon as she approached the formation that covered the mountain, Uruaxi felt a thick fog in front of her eyes, and she couldn't help but recall that embarrassing memory. What a powerful illusion formation. Just approaching it can evoke my worries. With a blush on her face, Uruaxi was about to knock on the door with a sound transmission note when she heard a clear female voice. Are you the disciple of senior sister Chiksha? I'm a junior, and I have come to ask Uncle Nangang about the matter of forming a pill. Uruaxi didn't know what kind of personality this Uncle Nangang had, so she immediately responded with a meticulous greeting to avoid offending him. Come in. As soon as the clear female voice fell, the formation revealed a gap that was big enough for a person to pass through. A moment later, Uruaxi came to a bamboo house and sat cross-legged with the owner of the house behind a gauze curtain. Due to the restrictions in the bamboo house, Uncle Nangang behind the gauze curtain did not reveal a trace of breath, and Uruaxi did not dare to use her spiritual sense to spy on him casually, so she could only see the vague figure of Uncle Nangang and could not see his true appearance. Uncle Nangang, you are so petite. The petite figure behind the gauze curtain surprised Uruaxi a little. Yes, you are indeed the disciple of Sister Chiksha. Your magic power is pure and profound, far exceeding that of the cultivators of the same level. Coupled with your extremely rare and pure body, the chances of successfully forming a pill are indeed not small. But I saw that you were easily confused by the mirage when you were outside the formation. You must be trapped by love. If you don't solve this problem, it is very easy to have a demon in your heart when you are forming a pill. At the very least, the pill will fail, and your meridians will be damaged. At the worst, you will be taken advantage of by the demon, and endanger your life. Nangang Wan immediately pointed out the fatal point of Uruaxi. She was a little curious about which talent in the sect made this woman so unstable. I'm trapped by love? As the saying goes, you can't see the true face of Mount Luo, because you are in it. Uruaxi previously felt that, although it was difficult to talk about her relationship with Luo Hong, it was just a girl's natural reaction. She didn't realize that she was already deeply involved, and her feelings were already moved. Fortunately, she was able to cultivate to the realm of false elixir, and she was not an ordinary person. After being enlightened by Nangang Wan, she immediately came to her senses. May I ask, Uncle, how can this dilemma be resolved? There are two ways. One is that my nephew and the person he loves hold a double cultivation ceremony. As long as they are together, this dilemma will be resolved immediately. When talking about marriage, Nangang Wan couldn't help but be a little hesitant, which made Uruaxi blush. What about the second way? When Nangang Wan heard that Uruaxi asked about the second way without much hesitation, she knew that this matter was not as simple as she had thought. Who exactly is this nephew's lover? Could it be that he doesn't even like a female cultivator who can achieve the golden elixir in my Yanayu sect? The second method is the word kill. My nephew is very smart, so I don't need to explain too much. Nangang Wan lost the mood to tease. Her face became serious, and her tone was slightly cold. Hearing this, Uruaxi's pretty face suddenly turned pale, and she didn't say anything for a long time. My nephew, you don't have to make a decision immediately. You still need several years to polish your magic power before you can form a pill. You can think about it slowly. Nangang Wan shook her head. This girl had clearly made a decision in her heart, but she couldn't recognize it. This was the case when her inner demon interfered with her. It depends on whether she can understand it. Even if she saw through Uruaxi's thoughts, Nangang Wan didn't say much. After all, she had to break her inner demon by herself. Others would only make things worse. The love tribulation is indeed difficult. Fortunately, I'm devoted to cultivation and don't get involved in such troubles. Thinking of this, Nangang Wan smiled proudly. Chapter 68 The Eve of the Trial. Junior brother Han, did you understand what I just said? In Fanghua Garden, Han Luo came to drink again. No, he came to ask for advice on magic. Luo Hong picked up the wine glass and drank it all. This was the new wine this year. The taste and aura were both excellent among the low-level spiritual wines. Zuo Leo's skills were getting more and more sophisticated. The 5 element spells are formed by the aura condensed by the mana flowing through the meridians and instantly transformed into aura when leaving the body. If the form is changed by the consciousness, low-level spells can also produce miraculous effects. Harley frowned deeply. He had been learning magic from senior brother Luo for 2 years. He could also feel that senior brother Luo did not hold back when teaching him, but he seemed to have no talent in magic practice. The elementary and low-level spells were okay, but once they reached the intermediate level, it was particularly difficult for him to learn. Although he also worked hard to learn a few, not only was the casting speed not fast, but the power was far less than that of senior brother Luo, and it was of little use in actual fighting. So after asking for advice today, senior brother Luo talked about the technique of controlling spells with consciousness. Harley was envious when he saw an ordinary water bullet that could only go straight back and forth, transformed into a flying swallow, and then flew up and down, extremely flexible. If I can learn this, the 5-shot fireball that I have practiced hard will be of great use. Yes, junior brother Han and I are the same. Our souls are much stronger than those of ordinary cultivators. It should not be difficult to master this little trick. Luo Hong's magic teaching is full of practical knowledge. He can only admire Han Luo for being able to learn so much. Thank you senior brother Luo for your guidance. Hanli is very grateful. In addition, junior brother came here this time and wanted to buy a few spiritual water amulets. I wonder if senior brother has any in stock. Hanli had listened too seriously before and had not tasted the new wine of Fanghua Garden. He took a sip first, and his eyes suddenly lit up. Then he raised his head and drank it all, revealing a look of unsatisfied. After Luo Hong filled his wine glass, he took out 5 spiritual water amulets and placed them on the table. This talisman is not easy to refine. I want to keep some for myself. These are the only ones I can sell. The exchange conditions are still the old rules. As long as the elixir can improve the mana, whether it is Huanglang pill or Hiki pill, I will accept it. Harley nodded. Since it was the old rule, he could not be unprepared. After taking out 5 bottles of Huanglang pills in a row, he hesitated for a while and took out another bottle of Hiki pills. Luo Hong looked at him and laughed secretly. No matter what Han Luo traded with him before, he always paid with Huanglang pills or Jinsu pills. Today, perhaps because he learned something real from him, he felt a little guilty and generously showed the Hiki pills. Haha, it seems that junior brother Han's alchemy skills have improved a lot. Look at these Hiki pills. Each pill is full of medicinal power and much stronger than the ones I bought before. Senior brother Luo, you are too kind. Junior brother's alchemy skills can only refine these low-level pills, which are not up to standard. Harley hurriedly humbled himself, wishing to describe himself as a waste, the less noticeable the better. Luo Hong stopped provoking him and changed the topic to talk about the most important thing in Huangfeng Valley this year. Junior brother, you are so anxious to improve your strength, you must have decided to participate in the Blood Forbidden trial. This Blood Forbidden trial is extraordinary. Since the Blood Forbidden land will be closed for a long time, this trial is bound to be particularly cruel. With your cultivation level of key refining level 12, you need to make more preparations. Hey, junior brother, how could you not know that? Harley's face turned bitter, and he drank a mouthful of wine and said, if you want to build a foundation, you can't do without the foundation building pill. I don't want to go to this Blood Forbidden trial, but I really have to go. Harley, who has always been cautious, didn't know how much determination he made before deciding to participate in this life-threatening trial. It's strange to say that I have been taking key combining pills to assist my cultivation for the past 2 years, and I have barely broken through the 12th level of key refining. Senior brother Luo often drinks and has fun, and he certainly doesn't take so many pills, but he broke through the 13th level of key refining a year ago. Sometimes, I can't help but wonder, is senior brother Luo really only a 4th grade spiritual root qualification, or is the spiritual wine produced in Fanghua Garden effective? But I have drunk a lot of it, and it is definitely not as good as elixirs in improving cultivation. Thinking of this, Han Li couldn't help but drink another cup. Strange. After drinking a pot of spiritual wine, Han Li stood up and said goodbye, and returned to Baikao Garden. Blood prohibition trial. Nangang Wan will suffer a lot. Luo Hong flipped his palm, took out a black iron mask, and put it on his face, chuckled and said, "Mr. Zuo, I'm sorry." A month later, in the north of Jiantao, on a barren mountain bordering Yu State and Yuanwu State, dozens of cultivators with the same clothes stood, and Han Li was among them. These people are the disciples of Huangfeng Valley who participated in the blood prohibition trial this time. At first glance, most of them are at the 12th level of key refining. Han Li, who has just entered the 12th level of key refining, can only be ranked last. After stealing a few glances at Chen Kaioqian, with whom he had physical contact, Han Li scanned the crowd again, but still could not find brother Luo. However, there was a guy wearing an iron mask, whose figure was very similar to brother Luo, but he stood with his hands behind his back, and remained silent since he appeared, like an iron pillar. Moreover, he wore the elegant clothes of the Huangfeng Valley disciples rigidly, exuding the aura of martial artist. This person was very different from Luo Hong in terms of personality and temperament. Even Han Li, who often met Luo Hong, did not dare to say that this person was Luo Hong. That iron mask was also unusual, it could block divine consciousness. This person took the trouble to hide his identity, so he must have a big plan. I have to stay away from him as much as possible. Brother Luo is already a registered disciple of the giant and elder after all, so he naturally doesn't need to risk his life for a few foundation building pills. It's only natural that he doesn't come. Han Li muttered with a slightly sour tone, and turned his gaze to Li Huoyuan at the front of the team. Thinking of the one-horned silver python that the elder had summoned before, he couldn't help but reveal a fascination on his face, and his eyes became more determined. Haha, it seems that he has concealed it. The one wearing the iron mask is naturally Luo Hong, because he had previously agreed with Li Huoyuan, so he could sign up for the trial. Seeing that the sharp-eyed Han Lao didn't see through his disguise, Luo Hong was completely relieved. He glanced around, and happened to meet Xiang Laogi, who was looking at him with a smile, and his heart shuddered. He didn't notice it at all. Xiang Laogi is a cultivator in the god transformation stage, a top-level cultivator in the human world, who hid his cultivation to the key refining stage, just to enter the blood forbidden land to explore treasures. Luo Hong didn't want to be associated with such a dangerous person for even half a spirit stone, so he immediately started his role-playing again. Fortunately, Xiang Laogi had high standards, and looked down on the trivial things in Luo Hong's arms. After satisfying his curiosity, he looked away. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69. First Encounter in Forbidden Land. Not long after arriving at the barren mountain, several uncles in the foundation building stage who were in charge asked everyone to rest on the spot and make final preparations for the battle in the next few days. Xiang Laogi, just like in the original timeline, tried to win over the disciples with the worst cultivation, including Han Li. As for Luo Hong, because he had exposed his aura on his own initiative, other disciples knew that he was a fierce man at the 13th level of key refining. He also showed an attitude of keeping strangers away, so no one came to disturb his performance. One day later, the cultivators of Kingsu sect came on the snow rainbow silk. As expected, the leader of Kingsu sect, Fu Yunzi, wanted to trick Li Huoyuan into refining iron essence for him, and took out the inner elixir of the bloodline dragon to lure him into gambling. If Li Huoyuan's one-horned silver python could refine the inner elixir of the bloodline dragon, then he would have a great chance of advancing to the 5th level in his lifetime, which is equivalent to the existence of an early stage cultivator of the giant stage. When he hesitated, he took a deep look at Luo Hong, who was wearing an iron mask, and thought of what this boy had said to him, and immediately made up his mind, and accepted the bet. However, at this time, the big villain Kyang Leo Gui from Yanyu sect intervened and forced his way into the gambling game between the two. Yanyu sect is the strongest among the 7 sects, and when it monopolized the Yueyang orb in the early years, it explored the forbidden area very deeply, and understood the distribution of spiritual medicines in the forbidden area the best. Therefore, even if it was 2 sects against 1, Li Huoyuan was not very confident. "You, come here." Li Huoyuan pointed at the iron-faced Luo Hong, and called him over in a calm manner. Luo Hong walked towards Li Huoyuan with the surprised and fearful eyes of the 7 sects disciples. In his heart, he did not complain about the attention his master had attracted to him. After all, in 5 days, these people would deeply imprint his current image in their souls. Li Huoyuan casually released a soundproofing spell and asked directly, "Can you really bring back no less than 20 spiritual medicines?" This was Luo Hong's excuse when he asked him to open a back door. Otherwise, he would not be willing to let this good disciple who gave him spiritual wine every year participate in the blood forbidden trial. If he died, there would be no spiritual wine to drink. This time, the Yanyu sect seems to be well prepared. That old monster Kyang is a cunning and treacherous person. "Master, don't worry. With my preparation and those 2 top-level magic weapons, it's no problem to deal with a group of cultivators of the same level." Luo Hong bowed his hands. Li Huoyuan's gamble was really big this time. If he lost, he would have to work as a hard laborer for at least 20 years. "Okay, if you can really help me win the bet, I will promise you a invisible needle, talisman of old monster Kyang." Li Huoyuan got Luo Hong's promise and immediately stroked his beard with excitement. If he lost this bet, he would undoubtedly lose a lot, but if he won, he would make a lot of money. In the face of interests, there is no difference between a giant and stage cultivator and a mortal. Luo Hong immediately bowed again. The invisible needle talisman is a good treasure that is very useful even after the foundation is established. It is really a pleasant surprise. Looking at Luo Hong walking back to the team, the old Taoist Fu Yanzi winked at the 2 Taoists in his team, obviously asking them to pay more attention to the disciple of Huangfeng Valley wearing an iron mask. Old monster Kyang laughed strangely, not caring about the tricks played by the 2 sects. After this episode, it was finally time to open the forbidden area. The 7 sects giant and elders attacked together, bombarding the weak points of the forbidden area. The disciples of the 7 sects were also standing not far behind them, ready to enter the forbidden area at any time. Due to the special nature of this trial, each sect will have the maximum number of disciples participating in the trial, 25 disciples per sect, and more than 170 disciples from the 7 sects. After 3 or 4 hours, with the efforts of the 7 giant and cultivators, the forbidden area formation broke through a dark passage. Without further instructions, the disciples of the 7 sects rushed into the passage, as if this would increase their chances of survival. Luo Hong was not in a hurry. He was not bragging. These disciples of the 7 sects really did not pose much threat to him. The real threat was the forbidden area itself. This place is not a novice copy. A divine transformation cultivator like Zhang Zili had to trick to cannon fodders to explore the way before entering, and finally came out in disgrace. It can be said that the danger level of this place is no less than that of the fallen Demon Valley. The place where the 7 sects disciples robbed the spiritual medicine was just the garden of the owner of the forbidden land. Soon, Luo Hong and Han Li were the only ones left standing there. The 2 of them almost jumped at the same time and entered the passage. The moment he was swallowed by the dark passage, Luo Hong felt a flash in front of his eyes, and then he came to the foot of a snow-capped mountain. The wind here was cold and lifeless, and even the immortal cultivators could not bear it. However, for Luo Hong, the temperature here was just right, just enough to offset the heat generated by the spiritual dragon secret pattern. This should be the Great Snow Mountain in the extreme north of the forbidden area. It is said that there are ice crystal snow lotuses growing on the top of the mountain. However, due to the harsh environment here, few trial disciples approach it. I don't know how long ago it was that I last picked ice crystal snow lotuses. Luo Hong recalled the information on the forbidden map issued by Huangfeng Valley and secretly thought that he was lucky. If he encountered an extremely old ice crystal snow lotus, he would not hand it over. This lotus is very useful for cultivators who practice water-based exercises. In order to have a possible unexpected harvest, Luo Hong asked someone to refine to secret boxes in advance. The materials used were the same as his mask. He had asked Zhao Qingling for a lot of them before. As long as the spiritual medicine was put into the secret box, it could avoid the detection of the sniffing beast and help him smuggle one or two particularly useful spiritual medicines. Luo Hong was about to climb the mountain to look for medicine when two disciples of Huadao Wu suddenly broke into his consciousness, one of whom was considered an acquaintance of his. Brother Han, thanks to your umbrella to dispel cold, otherwise we wouldn't be able to reach the top of the mountain with our magic power against the cold wind of the snowy mountain. Yan Zhao smiled and patted the man's shoulder beside her, as if she was teasing her best friend. The man pinched his orchid fingers and put his hair, which was a little messy by the wind, behind his ears, and a feminine smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. I'm also very happy to be able to teleport so close to Sister Yan. As long as you follow closely, I will protect you. Good brother. Who's over there? Han Xianai's sharp shout interrupted Yan Zhao's flattery. Yan Zhao hurriedly looked around and soon found a disciple of Huangfeng Valley wearing an iron mask, standing with his hands behind his back not far away. It's him. The two immediately recognized that this person was the disciple of Huangfeng Valley who was highly expected by the giant unstage cultivator, and they immediately vigilantly sacrificed their magic weapons. Yan Zhao pulled out a whip-like magical weapon made of white bones, and with one swing, he condensed a layer of cold air around his body. Han Xianai grabbed the cold-repelling umbrella that was spinning above his head and summoned two strange red flying knives, which flew slowly around him. You two had better retreat on your own initiative. Zuo doesn't want to kill you. Chapter 17 You Dark Blue. You are hiding your head and showing your tail. I dare not leave my back to you. Han Xianai was alarmed. This man's spiritual awareness is far superior to mine. If I follow him, I will not be able to find him at all. I must not take this risk. Brother Han, don't waste your words on him. No matter how powerful he is definitely not a match for the two of us. Let me trap him first, and then I will use Thunderbolt too. Yan Zhao's voice stopped abruptly. Before Han Xianai could check his situation, he heard a pop sound, followed by the sound of a huge rock breaking behind him. What? Sister Yan, how is it possible? Han Xianai was frightened by this sudden change and was extremely nervous. He did not dare to take his eyes off the iron-faced man for a moment. He could only glance at Yan Zhao beside him with the corner of his eye. He saw that there was a round hole the size of a soybean in the middle of his eyebrows, and red and white things were constantly oozing out of it. The whole person was twitching slightly and had not fallen down yet, but it was obvious that there was no hope of saving him. Dead! Exclamation mark. Han Xianai was so shocked that his eyes were about to burst. He quickly jumped to distance himself from Luo Hong. Everything happened so fast that he didn't even know how Luo Hong killed Sister Yan. His hands and feet suddenly became cold. If I hadn't had the Luo umbrella to protect me, I would have been the one who died just now. You are smarter than her, so you are still alive. Zuo doesn't like to repeat what he said. Get out of here. Luo Hong put his hands behind his back and looked down at Han Xianai. His tone was still calm after killing someone. He gave her chances again and again, not because of his saintly heart. Every disciple who entered the forbidden area understood that the moment he participated in the trial, it meant that he and other trial participants had become mortal enemies. Luo Hong did this just for his plan. Han Xianai was more useful alive than dead. Originally, he didn't even want to kill Yan Zhao. Although the other party had offended him, his strength was no longer at the same level as his. It would be better to have more tools to seek revenge. If she hadn't been as outspoken as last time and the magic weapon in her hand looked good, Luo Hong would have disdained to do it. Han Xianai was in doubt and could not believe that the iron-faced man would let him go so easily, but he was not sure that he could survive the attack that could kill people before they made any noise, so he hesitated for a moment before leaving. He sacrificed several defensive magic weapons and fled without looking back. As for the revenge of Yan Xiao's murder, Han Xiaonan was afraid of Luo Hong at this moment, so he could only hold a grudge against Yan Xiao. Not to mention revenge, he did not curse, because he did not want to waste his energy to escape. The face of Huadao Wu has some skills, the ability to judge the situation. Luo Hong threw a fireball and burned Yan Xiao's body to ashes. He reached out his hand and took his storage bag and the bone whip magic weapon in front of him. It is indeed a top level magical weapon and a rare magical weapon that can trap people. Haha, you have worked so hard. Luo Hong's spiritual consciousness gently wiped out Yan Xiao's residual consciousness on the bone whip, leaving his own spiritual consciousness mark, and soon mastered the use of this magical weapon. The Yinhan chain can be used as a whip when held and a lock when released. It has a certain magical effect of attacking the Yuanshan. The quality of the top level magical weapons produced by Yan Jiabao is guaranteed. Luo Hong did not put it into the storage bag, but drove it around his right wrist, like a man in the martial arts world who practiced the iron wire fist. This short battle not only allowed Luo Hong to gain a fine quality top level magical weapon, but also tested the power of his new Enkingzi. With my 10,000 Jin of strength, and the Enkingzi fired by the finger-inch force, it can kill a key refining stage cultivator who does not have a high-level defensive magical weapon in seconds. It is just like taking something out of a bag. Luo Hong nodded with satisfaction, and then began to climb the snow-capped mountains behind him. Although no disciples have climbed to the top of this mountain for many years, it is very likely that they have collected very old spiritual medicines, but it also means that no one has ever cleared the monsters on the mountain. The number and strength are probably not comparable to those in other outer areas of the forbidden area. Therefore, Luo Hong did not dare to fly with the earth flying tool, but used the Jiang Hukingang to run. With his physical strength, he would not be much slower than flying with the flying tool. When he reached the middle of the mountain, the cold wind suddenly became much stronger. Luo Hong used his magic power to stimulate the silver rune on his spine, and a rolling hot current gushed out to dispel the cold for him. Suddenly, two muffled sounds of snow exploding came, and two grey-white shadows rushed out from the left and right, only a distance of 10 feet apart. With Luo Hong's spiritual sense, he did not notice it in advance. The two grey shadows flew into the air, and each of them sprayed an ice cone from their mouths, trying to pierce the uninvited guests in front of them. Luo Hong flicked his middle fingers, and two dark green particles flew out, not only blasting the two ice cones in midair, but also piercing the skulls of the two attackers who didn't know whether to live or die. With two puffs, the two lifeless monsters fell deeply into the snow, and blue blood slowly overflowed. Luo Hong walked forward to check, and it turned out that the attacker was a monster that looked like a toad. After searching the monster illustrations in his memory for a while, Luo Hong recognized this monster. Snow Rock Toad, a low-level first-level monster, is good at pretending to be dead under the snow. When the prey is about 10 feet away, it will suddenly attack. Although it can only use the ice cone technique, it is considered a more difficult type among low-level monsters, because even a cultivator in the late stage of key refining cannot see through their fake death. However, Luo Hong has practiced the Great Evolution technique for 2 years, and his soul has long reached the first evolution realm. His consciousness can detect a trace of the breath of the snow rock toad in fake death. He just mistook the two faint breaths for insects under the snow. Snow rock toads are social monsters, so there must be many nearby. Luo Hong released his spiritual sense to explore carefully, and indeed, he sensed 3 more faint breaths like insects. Not wanting to waste time on the worthless snow rock toads, Luo Hong directly bypassed their place of suspended death and soon passed through their territory safely. At this time, Luo Hong was already close to the top of the Great Snow Mountain, and sensed a very cold spiritual energy, which should be the ice crystal snow lotus. Luo Hong slowed down his pace, sacrificed a kite-shaped bone shield, and followed the spiritual energy. Approaching the spiritual medicine is equivalent to approaching the guardian monster. It is possible that it will be some wild and alien species, so you must be careful. Before walking for long, Luo Hong felt a vibration under his feet, and the snow slid down the mountain in large chunks. The spiritual sense penetrated the rocks, and Luo Hong sensed a long worm about 70 to 80 feet long, drilling the soil and breaking the rocks underground, rushing towards him aggressively. The cold wind at the top of the mountain was very strong, and the flying instrument was inevitably blown crooked, so it was better to face the enemy on the ground. Therefore, Luo Hong did not choose to fly into the air, but quickly approached the location of the spiritual medicine. No matter how powerful this long worm is at drilling into the ground, it will definitely not destroy the soil and rocks near the spiritual medicine, and can only fight with me on the surface. Chapter 71, Fighting the Giant Goo. As Luo Hong expected, the long worm monster, that originally wanted to swallow the invader in one gulp, when it broke out of the ground, after chasing for a while, took the initiative to drill out from the ground, and chased on the ground. What a big giant goo. This is probably a top level monster of the first level. It is a bit difficult to deal with. As its name suggests, the giant goo has a huge head, and its whole body is covered with a shell. Its numerous legs, that make people's scalps numb, move quickly under the protection of the carapace, like a high-speed armored train. Let's try the defense of its shell first. Luo Hong twisted his waist, and each of his hands ejected a dark green seed, hitting the left side of the giant goo's big head. Under the impact of the two dark green seeds that were only the size of soybeans, the giant goo's big head was suddenly flipped to the side, and cracks appeared on the shell. Obviously, this did not cause a fatal injury, but it completely angered the giant goo. The entire head opened 4 petals and spit out a blue spirit ball. Luo Hong made a mistake, and dodged to the side nimbly. The aura ball hit the ground and immediately exploded into countless tiny wind blades, tearing everything around into pieces. This storm bomb spell was extremely powerful, but its speed was really slow. The giant goo spit out 2 more in succession, but they couldn't even touch Luo Hong's shadow, wasting its magic power in vain. Even the giant goo, which had little intelligence, realized that its innate spells were ineffective against the invader, so it swung its legs and rushed over again, wanting to crush Luo Hong, a tiny thing, in close combat. Luo Hong didn't want to fight it head on. The dark green Z hit it repeatedly, and the carapace on the head of the giant goo soon broke in many places, revealing the pink soft flesh underneath, and also hindered its pursuit. Almost done. Although the dark green Z could be fired instantly and had strong penetrating power, it was not lethal enough for a monster like the giant goo that was huge and had no key points. However, Luo Hong was prepared for this. He patted his storage bag and sacrificed another top level magic weapon. The mountain shaking spear, like Luo Hong's soul devouring shield, is made of the bones of the mountain shaking python, the hardest tail tip bones and skull bones. Luo Hong also added the remaining 1.1 yuan of heavy water, so the senior refiner in the valley almost failed to refine it, but it also greatly enhanced the power of the final product, making it the top of the top magic weapons. Li Huoyuan knew that Luo Hong had these 2 trump cards, so he recognized that he had the strength to pass the trial. Holding the spear shaft that was as thick as his arm, Luo Hong poured his magic power into it frantically, and a black spiritual light appeared on the white spear. As a demon beast, the giant goo's ability to sense danger far exceeds that of a cultivator. When it felt a deadly threat, it no longer cared about the spiritual medicine that it had guarded for hundreds of years, and plunged into the ground, trying to avoid the edge temporarily. However, it was too late. Luo Hong leaped high, locked onto the giant goo that was about to drill deep underground, twisted his waist and exerted strength. His arm muscles suddenly swelled and swung so fast that he could not see its shadow. The mountain shaking spear was like a black and white thunder, which penetrated through layers of soil and rocks in an instant and hit the giant goo's huge head with a broken shell. The powerful kinetic energy carried by the mountain shaking spear was released in an instant, and the giant goo's hard shell fluctuated like the surface of the water. With a thunderous roar, the whole head was blown to pieces. How you died after taking this blow that cost thousands of mana, you beast. You didn't live in vain. Retracting the mountain shaking spear that was inserted diagonally into the rock, Luo Hong said with some complacency, when the 3 element of spirit, energy, and spirit work together, the combat power generated is so strong that it killed a top level giant goo with one blow. I'm afraid few people would believe it if they told others. Taking out the soul collecting bottle, Luo Hong was about to collect the spirit of the giant goo. After a moment of hesitation, he realized that he had used too much force to do the test just now, and the spirit of the giant goo had been shattered along with his exploded head. Luo Hong, who was a little embarrassed, cut off the essence of the giant goo and went straight to the spiritual medicine. Although it was a bit wasteful, the time in the forbidden area was more valuable. Not long after, Luo Hong found a spiritual medicine rooted in the ice and snow, with flowers in full bloom. The medicinal fragrance is almost gone, the whole body is crystal clear, and the chill is pressing within 10 feet. It is the ice crystal snow lotus. The flower has 10 petals. This is a 1,000-year spiritual medicine. The ice crystal snow lotus grows a petal every 100 years. The one in front of Luo Hong has a 1,000-year medicinal power. This is a rare treasure in the world. I made a profit. After picking the lotus and putting it in the secret box, Luo Hong set up many restrictions and then went down the mountain the same way. Whether it is the Great Snow Mountain or the Black Dragon Pond, they are only the outermost part of the forbidden area. To enter the central area, you need to pass through a towering circular stone wall, and to collect enough spiritual medicines, you must enter the circular mountain range in the central area. Therefore, the disciples of the 7 sects who are interested in the foundation building pill will rush to the circular mountain range to collect medicines as soon as possible after entering the forbidden area. Because Luo Hong wasted some time in the Great Snow Mountain, his progress has completely fallen behind other trial participants. Along the way, except for the occasional corpse, no one blocked his way. He thought he would reach his destination smoothly, but when he was halfway there, a group of strange bees suddenly broke into his consciousness. Bee monsters are considered to be a relatively common type of insect monsters, but this group of strange bees surrounded in a circle and did not move for a long time. It is obvious that they are spiritual beasts tamed by immortal cultivators. Could it be that a disciple of a spiritual beast mountain is preparing to hide outside the forbidden area until the end of the trial? This is a common practice of many self-aware cannon fodder disciples. Luo Hong thinks there is nothing wrong with it. After all, those who force themselves to do it, even though they know it is not possible, are probably mentally ill. But there were a lot of strange bees, and their aura seemed strong. Even Luo Hong would have to work hard to deal with them. Even if he couldn't fight against the top disciples of various sects, it would not be difficult to kill a few monsters and pick a few spiritual herbs in the Ring Mountain range. After seeing the truth, Luo Hong felt unhappy. Since they had the ability to pick herbs, they were his tools. If their hidden didn't work, they would hinder his big plan. I want to see what you are planning. He changed the direction of travel with a kick of his feet. Luo Hong quickly found the immortal cultivator and the strange bee swarm with his spiritual sense. It was a little different from what he expected. There was not just one person hiding in the strange bee swarm, but 3 disciples of the spirit beast mountain. The 3 of them gathered together, as if they were plotting something. Brother ZHU, since the 3 of us are all here, can you please take out the map that your family has passed down, so that my brother you and I can feel at ease? The disciple from Lingshao Mountain who was speaking had a monkey face, and his good disciple uniform was made colorful by him with something unknown, and his eyes were full of cleverness. That map is the hard work of my ZHU family's generations of clansmen, and it is a treasure inherited by the family. Brother, how do you think I, ZHU Sans Hong, will bring it out? I have memorized the location of the golden eagle in my mind, and the 2 brothers just need to follow me closely. After the matter is accomplished, you will not miss any of the benefits we promised. The fat-headed and big-eared disciple from Lingshao Mountain sneered and said arrogantly, "Golden eagle? Interesting." Luo Hong quietly disappeared. Chapter 72 Golden Eagle and Ancient Texts. The golden light eagle is an extremely rare demon beast. It likes to eat gold spiritual objects. Generally, it can reach the first level high level after adulthood. However, if it eats enough gold spiritual objects during its growth period, it can also grow into a powerful demon beast of the first level top level. Golden Light Escape is its most famous magical power. Once it is used, its body is like golden light, and it can travel several miles in one breath. Even the cultivators in the foundation building period can only sigh in the dust. In addition, the Golden Light Eagle is also good at using a variety of gold magic spells. Its pair of golden claws is extremely powerful. In a head-on confrontation, ordinary cultivators of the same level are also difficult to compete. If it were just that, it would not be enough to leave a deep impression on Luo Hong. What Luo Hong is really interested in is not the combat power of the golden light eagle, but its special way of growth. As we all know, the level of a demon beast after adulthood depends entirely on its bloodline. Poor development will only delay the time of adulthood, but will not change its level after adulthood. Therefore, the change in the level of the golden light eagle after growth means that its bloodline has changed. Silver runes exist in all living things and have the same status as genes in the science of cultivating immortals, so changes in bloodline are changes in silver runes. Because he was deeply influenced by various genetic sciences, Luo Hong had always had the idea of creating a great supernatural power that could freely compile silver runes. The special growth method of the golden eagle is the best research material. When he read the description of the golden eagle in the classics, Luo Hong had the idea of catching one for research. Unfortunately, this was basically hopeless in Cheyenne, but he did not expect to encounter it in this way in the bloody Forbidden Land. Luo Hong had already thought of being a yellow bird. At this time, the junior brother Yu, who had a long scar on his face and his eyes were too protruding, said in a rough voice, "I'm not interested in the treasures of my senior brother's family, but I have to say it in advance. In addition to the agreed spiritual stone elixir, the feathers and claws of the two golden eagles must belong to me. Two senior brothers, do you have any objections?" Junior brother Yu's terrifying fish eyes glared, and his attitude was very tough. Zhu San's Hong's expression did not change, but Hao Jin's face lost his playful smile. He hesitated for a while but acquiesced. "Don't worry, junior brother Yu. Without your red flame net, we wouldn't be able to keep the two golden eagles. Junior brother Yu should take the lion's share of the spoils. Of course, junior brother Hao's group of poisonous fire bees are also very important. The spirits and demon blood of the two golden eagles belong to junior brother Hao." Zhu San's Hong looked silly, but he was a man who could speak well. He eased the tension among his companions with just a few words. "Just agree, senior brother. As long as we get what we want, we will never compete with you for the demon egg of the golden eagle." Junior brother Yu said Zhu San's Hong's purpose in one breath, with a hint of threat in his words. "Haha, since we've agreed, it's getting late. Let's set off. Two junior brothers, follow me." Zhu San's Hong offered a wind-controlling talisman and slapped it on his leg, heading towards the stone wall surrounding the central area. Hao and Yu followed closely behind. The strange bees driven by Hao Jin buzzed around them. Any living creature within a radius of more than 100 feet would be discovered by the strange bees. Because of this, the three of them were not very alert to the surroundings. Luo Hong followed them for a long time, but none of them looked back, as if they were not worried about being followed. Half a day later, Luo Hong followed the three to the north gate of the stone wall in the central area. The bronze door here had been opened long ago, and no one was left. After the three disciples of Lingshao Mountain tried it out, they successfully passed through the bronze door and entered the central area of the forbidden area. However, because the monsters in the central area all live in the huge Ring Mountain range, and the Ring Mountain range is still wrapped in thick fog at this time, the moon sun orb is needed to break the fog, so the three found a secret place in the flowers and waited quietly for the arrival of the third morning. Luo Hong stood at the bronze door. His consciousness was always locked on Zhu San's Hong. In his original plan, he did not plan to enter the central area. One reason was that Luo Hong felt that his luck was a bit bad after several experiences of going out, and he always had trouble. What if he entered the central area and encountered any restrictions and was teleported to a dangerous place? Of course, the chance of such a thing happening is quite small, and Luo Hong was just thinking about it as a joke. Another main reason is that he didn't want to run into Zhang Zili. The original book didn't explain Zhang Liuge's whereabouts. If he ran into him, there would basically be no good results. But for the precious research material, Luo Hong decided to take this risk. At this time, he stopped, not because he regretted it at the last minute, but because the ancient text on the bronze door was special. There was no spiritual energy on the entire bronze door, so although these ancient texts were mysterious, very few trialists would try them, but Luo Hong saw the shadow of silver runes in them. The technique used was extremely similar to Luo Hong's technique of making runes, but it was much more sophisticated in many details. Look carefully at the traces of these ancient texts. It seems that they are not originally on this bronze door. Luo Hong tried to use the physical examination form to calculate the existence time of the two, and concluded that the ancient texts had a history of 1,000 years, while the bronze door had a history of 10,000 years. Although Luo Hong lacks the physical data of the ancient text and the bronze gate material, the age calculation of the two is definitely extremely inaccurate, but based on the database composed of thousands of low-level spiritual objects, the conclusion drawn from the experience table is still of certain reference value. The difference between 1,000 years and 10,000 years is too big. Luo Hong basically confirmed that the ancient text was left on the bronze gate by later generations. This person's cultivation is definitely higher than Luo Hong, and even the Yuanying stage cultivators cannot enter the bloody forbidden land. Only the top old monsters in the transformation stage of the human world and some extremely powerful late Yuanying cultivators have the means to force their way into the forbidden land. In the past few thousand years, the only person who can have such cultivation and is proficient in the way of talismans is the founder of the Xianfu sect who fell in the forbidden land. This Xianfu sect is incredible. The three major spiritual talismans in the human world all come from this sect. The Descending Spirit Talisman, the Transformation Spirit Talisman, and the Sixting Xianjia Talisman are all extremely powerful. Especially the Sixting Xianjia Talisman, which helped Han Leo Mo pass the space node and ascend to the spiritual world. It is a top treasure in the human world. That senior must have left ancient texts on the bronze gate for a reason, and the most likely reason is to break the restrictions on the gate. You know, there are infinite wind blades of the forbidden formation above this stone wall, and the stone wall itself is also very solid. There is no reason why there are no restrictions on the four gates of the stone wall. We, the descendants, can enter the central area, all thanks to the seniors of Xianfuman. Since he knew that these ancient texts were left by the seniors, Luo Hong would naturally not let them go. He took out a stack of blank green talisman paper and tried to copy them down one by one, leaving them for later study. Moreover, Luo Hong understood that the shape of these ancient texts was not important. What was important was the silver runes hidden in the ancient texts. They were the source of the mysterious and abnormal feelings of the ancient texts for the immortal cultivators. For other people, the ancient texts they copied might not have the charm, but for Luo Hong, this was not a problem at all. He had not studied the silver runes in vain over the years. If he just copied them, it would be fast and accurate. Chapter 73 Han Yun's his new look. On the evening of the second day after the blood trial began, except for a few disciples who gave up collecting herbs and hid somewhere outside the forbidden area, the rest of the people were waiting for the appearance of the moon sun orb in the garden between the stone wall and the Ring Mountain range. Only a disciple of the Yellow Maple Valley wearing an iron mask sat in front of the two bronze gates, holding a talisman pen and writing and drawing non-stop. Although Luo Hong was concentrating at this time, he kept a distraction to pay attention to the three disciples of the Spirit Beast Mountain, so he was not afraid that they would slip away. This is how they spent the whole night. When Luo Hong copied down the last ancient text, a beam of light shot up into the sky in the distance, condensed into a ball of light above the vast sea of fog, and slowly grew larger as time passed. After a while, the ball of light reached its limit and exploded into countless light spots with a loud bang. As soon as the fog covering the Ring Mountain range came into contact with these light spots, it rushed towards them frantically and was quickly dissolved. Not long after, the true appearance of the Ring Mountain range appeared in front of the disciples of the seven sects. Each mountain peak was 1,000 feet high, making people daunted. Many monsters stimulated by the power of the moon sun orb roared, as if a group of monsters were in chaos, which was very terrifying. Swoosh, 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 a few sounds broke through the air, and the long-awaited disciples of the seven sects rushed into the mountains and forests, and disappeared in a few breaths. The three disciples of the Spirit Beast Mountain also took action and headed towards a mountain that was higher than the surrounding peaks. Luo Hong quietly followed behind them, watching them deal with various low-level monsters that attacked them neatly. Near noon, just when the three of them were about to reach the top of the mountain, they encountered a group of 3 trialists. As soon as the two sides met, the atmosphere immediately became tense. Both sides offered their magic weapons and were ready to fight at any time. It's her. Luo Hong saw a familiar figure in the 3-person team he had just encountered. Han Yunsky, who was wearing a green dress at the moment, had a black guard who had grown twice as big as her at her feet, and a young white eagle hovering above her head. She was riding the eagle and the dog with great pride. Her 2 companions were not disciples of the spiritual beast mountain. One was a young Taoist priest of the Kingsu sect, and the other was Luo Hong's junior sister. The cultivation of these 2 was not high. They had just broken through the 12th level of key refining, and were at the bottom of the trial disciples. So at this moment, they all showed panic on their faces, and kept looking at Han Yunsky, who was only at the 11th level of key refining. It seemed that she was the leader among the 3. On the other hand, Zhu Haoyu and the other 2, although their cultivation had not yet reached the 13th level of key refining, were close to the peak of the 12th level of key refining. Moreover, they had been connected before entering the forbidden area. In terms of mutual cooperation, they were far from being comparable to Han Yunsky's temporary team. Once they started fighting, they would definitely have a great advantage. Luo Hong was considering whether he should secretly help them, but the reaction of Zhu Sans Hong and the other 2 surprised him. Don't be nervous, junior sister Han. Senior brother knows how powerful your spirit beast is. Since we are from the same sect, we should naturally be harmonious in this bloody forbidden land. There are many spirit medicines in this Ring Mountain range. There is really no need for us to fight to the death. Zhu Sans Hong's words were tantamount to surrendering, but even junior brother Yu, who was the most arrogant among the 3, did not show any dissatisfaction. Obviously, he also agreed with Zhu Sans Hong's way of handling things. For the first time, Luo Hong in the dark felt strongly the changes she had brought to the mortal world. Originally, Han Yunsky should have been a poor little person who was bullied by everyone in the Spirit Beast Mountain, but now she has become a well-known and powerful figure. It's really interesting. However, seeing her behavior of bringing 2 burdens with her, I guess her temperament has not changed much, and she is still so kind. Senior brother, are you going to the top of the mountain too? The situation in the Spirit Beast Mountain is similar to that in the Yellow Maple Valley. There are more than 10,000 disciples in the key refining stage. Han Yunsky does not know Zhu Sans Hong, and does not know the details of his methods, but she does not mean to give in easily. Her brother is still waiting for the spirit medicine to save his life. Zhu Sans Hong frowned. The nest of the golden eagle was at the top of this peak. Could it be that these 3 people were also coming for the golden eagle? According to the classics handed down by his ancestors, the spiritual medicine guarded by the golden eagles was only a copper juice fruit that was more than 200 years old. It was not a good thing for a cultivator. It could be said that it was not worth the loss to deal with 2 high-level monsters for this. Luo Hong was also puzzled. Han Yunsky was not a competitive person, but at this time she put on an attitude of not giving in. The only possibility was that she thought there was a scorching sunflower on the top of the peak. Han Yunsky urgently needed the scorching sunflower to save her brother's life, so it was understandable that she was acting out of character. But this scorching sunflower was a very domineering fire spiritual medicine, and the golden eagle was a gold monster. The 2 were mutually exclusive and would never be together. Obviously, the problem was with the person who told Han Yunsky that there was a scorching sunflower here. Luo Hong cast his eyes towards the man and woman who were half a step behind Han Yunsky, and his expression gradually became stern. The 3 of them had already divided up all the spoils that could be obtained on the top of the peak, so there was no way they would be willing to let Han Yunsky and the other 2 have a share. Zhu Sans Hong made a gesture with his left hand behind his back, notifying Haoyu and the other 2 to take action after 3 breaths. Junior sister Han, since your fellow senior brother came first, let's leave. The Ring Mountain range is so large, there are more than one place with opportunities. The young Taoist priest from Kingsu sect persuaded with evasive eyes, as if he had no confidence that he could survive the melee, so he had no intention of fighting. Yes, junior sister Han, your young eagle skills are still shallow. If you conflict with these 3 senior brothers, I'm afraid it will be dangerous. The yellow-shirted woman from Huangfeng Valley pretended to be concerned about Han Yangzi and advised together. You two are right. Fellow disciples should follow the principle of first come first served. Harmony is the most important thing to make the spirit beast live to adulthood. Zhu Sans Hong said with a smile and made a gesture with his hidden left hand, asking how you and the other two to hold off. Han Yangzi hesitated for a moment. She herself would fight to the death for her brother, but the 2 people beside her had no reason to fight to the death. If they started fighting, they would definitely keep 3 points of their strength to escape. She alone could not defeat the 3 of them. It seemed that the persuasion had worked. Han Yangzi's rationality finally prevailed. After a sigh, she said, then I will let the 3 brothers take over. Let's go. After that, Han Yangzi and the other 2 kept their guard and slowly retreated. After keeping a distance, they flew away. Junior brother Hao, Zhu Sans Hong narrowed his eyes and watched Han Yangzi and the other 2 leave and called Hao Jin softly. Understood. Hao Jin immediately released the poisonous fire bees that he had put away when he was hiding in the flowers and set up a circle of cordons around the top of the peak. My 2 junior brothers, when we engage in battle with the pair of golden eagles, don't hold back. We must make a quick decision to prevent junior sister Han and the others from coming back. After Zhu Sans Hong made his arrangements, he quickly headed for the top of the mountain, while Han Yangzi also stopped when he retreated to the middle of the mountain. The one who blocked their way was the young Taoist priest from the Kingsu sect. Chapter 74 Killing the Eagle. Little Taoist, if we turn back, we will really fight to the death with my 3 senior brothers. Have you thought about it? Han Yangzi knew that the little Taoist would understand this truth. If he really wanted to turn back, he must have the corresponding means, so she looked at him expectantly. The little Taoist smiled shyly, reached out with his right hand, and grabbed a sparrow-sized yellow feathered bird from his sleeve, pointing at it and said, although my yellow-winged bird is weak and cannot be used to fight the enemy, it is very human. It can understand many commands without being controlled by spiritual consciousness, and its breath is as weak as an insect, making it extremely difficult to be discovered. In addition, the little Taoist took out a wooden tablet with runes engraved on it with his left hand and continued, I also use the Kingsu sect's spiritual vision secret method to refine a trace of the bird's spirit into this spiritual tablet, which can help me see the scene that the bird sees. Brother, do you want to be a fisherman? The woman in yellow shirt stepped forward with a little excitement. That's right. I will use the yellow-winged bat to secretly observe the fight between the 3 people and the medicine guarding monster beast, so that we can sneak attack them at the critical moment. Junior sister Han, what do you think? In order to finally defeat the 3 people from Spiritual Beast Mountain, they still have to rely on Han Yang's spirit beast, so after the little Taoist priest talked a lot, he looked at Han Yangzi as if she was the one who made the decision. Senior sister Song, is there really a scorching sunflower on the top of the peak? There are few good men and women among the disciples of Spiritual Beast Mountain. When Han Yangzi first entered the sect, she suffered a lot from her senior brothers and sisters. Later, she couldn't bear it anymore and asked Zhao Hei to teach them some lessons, so she was able to gain a foothold in the sect. Therefore, Han Yangzi had no psychological pressure on the 3 senior brothers who attacked and killed her. What she cared about was whether she could find the scorching sunflower. The yellow-shirted girl hesitated for a moment, glanced to the side, and then said with certainty, of course, my brother saw this flower with his own eyes when he participated in the last bloody trial. It was on the top of the peak. There is no mistake. Okay. Then follow the little Taoist's plan and turn back. Han Yangzi made up her mind, and the innocent girl's face was full of determination. Then the 3 of them turned around and headed to the top of the peak again. At this time, Luo Hong walked out of the shadows of the trees, looked at the green shadows in the distance and shook his head. Care makes you confused. You can't see such an obvious use. You are still too naive. But the little Taoist spirit bird is destined to be with me. Luo Hong disappeared again thoughtfully. At this time, Zhu Sans Hong and the other 2 were about to reach the nest of the golden eagle. Along the way, the closer they got to the top of the peak, the more low-level monster corpses they encountered. Most of them had never been eaten. The hunters did not kill for food, but only for killing. There were 3 round holes on the head of each demon corpse, which made the 3 people look more and more solemn, and they couldn't help but tighten their defensive magic tools in their hands. When the nest of the golden eagle really entered the sight of the 3 people, they unexpectedly found that they were lucky. The male eagle was hunting outside, and only the female eagle was guarding the nest. Even though the 3 people used special powder that could eliminate odors, they were still discovered by the sharp-eyed female eagle when they approached within 100 feet. Perhaps because there were her own children in the nest, the female eagle who noticed the abnormality seemed particularly violent. She attacked without hesitation, and her wings fluttered, scattering a golden light. Each of these golden lights was a knife condensed by the spiritual energy of the gold element, which was extremely sharp, and cut all the grass, trees, and rocks where the 3 people were hiding into countless pieces. Since the countermeasures had been discussed long ago, without ZHU Sanzhang's instructions, Junior Brother Yu immediately sacrificed his high-level magic tool, the red flame net. A fiery red and crystal clear large net unfolded, flew over the head of the female eagle, and directly covered it. ZHU Hao and his partner immediately used magic and talismans to contain the mother eagle, and they had to trap it in the net. Otherwise, their powerful attack methods would not be able to hit the extremely fast golden eagle. There were monster eggs under her body, so the mother eagle did not flap her wings to dodge, but opened her mouth and sprayed out a golden flying sword about 10 feet long, trying to split the red net in half. I really fell for it. Hurry. Junior Brother Yu's eyes widened, and under the violent release of his magic power, a blazing spiritual fire ignited on the red flame net. The powerful golden sword was consumed by 30% of the fire spirit energy before it could be chopped, and the rest was completely dissipated by the spiritual fire on the red flame net. The effect was only to stop the red flame net from falling slightly. Seeing that things were not going well, the mother eagle cried out shrilly and was about to flap her wings and fly away. Although the golden eagle is a rare monster that will disregard its life for its cubs, the way they disregard their lives is not to defend their nests. When they think they can't repel the enemy, they will abandon their nest and cubs, and then use their best golden light escape to hit the enemy, fighting to the death, and they are extremely fierce. ZHU Sanzhang knows the habits of the golden light eagle very well, so how could he let it fly? He immediately shouted, "Junior Brother Hao, hurry up, my ZHU family will compensate you for your losses." Junior Brother ZHU, you are too polite. I'm not a person who takes advantage of small gains. Haojin took advantage of it and shook a bell, driving the poisonous fire bees that had been waiting around the mother eagle to press forward. Explode. Haojin gave an order, and dense purple fireballs exploded on the wings of the mother eagle, bending its upright body. This completely eliminated the mother eagle's chance of escape. The red flame net covered it, and immediately wrapped the mother eagle tightly. Under the burning of the spiritual fire, the mother eagle screamed loudly, rolled out of the nest, and struggled hard. Brother ZHU, hurry up, this beast is so powerful, my red flame net won't last long. Brother Yu's eyes widened, and one could not help but worry that they would burst out of their sockets in the next moment. ZHU Sanzhang slapped the spirit beast bag, and a white spiritual light flashed, and a spirit beast similar to a wild boar, but with a piece of raw iron on its back fell to the ground with a bang. This first level high-level steel-backed pig is ZHU Sanzhang's spirit beast, which was passed down by his father. Go. ZHU Sanzhang waved his hand and pointed, and the steel-backed pig grunted and rumbled towards the female eagle trapped in the red flame net. If it was hit hard by it, even the body of the golden light eagle would be broken. However, just when the steel-backed pig was about to make a contribution, a golden light swooped down from the sky, overturned the steel-backed pig, and lifted it up. Fortunately, the steel-backed pig weighed 2 to 3,000 kilograms, and almost brought the furious male eagle down from mid-air, forcing the male eagle to give up the idea of carrying it to a high altitude, and letting it fall to its death. Not good. The female eagle is trying to break free. Junior Brother Yu shouted, and the red flame net that wrapped the female eagle had been pulled loose, not as tight as it was at the beginning. It's really useless. ZHU Sanzhang cursed in his heart, and reluctantly took out a primary high-level fire dragon talisman, and sent a trace of mana to activate it. After the talisman pattern lit up for a moment, amazing spiritual energy emerged from the talisman, condensing into a 2 or 3 foot long fire dragon, and then opened its mouth and swallowed the female eagle in the red flame net in one bite, and then rushed towards the male eagle with the remaining momentum, but it was easily avoided. Chapter 75, Betrayal. 300 or 400 feet away from the peak, Han Yunzi and the yellow-shirted woman looked up at the peak. The rumbling sounds coming from time to time let them know that the battle on the peak was very fierce. The little Taoist priest, who looked very childish, sat cross-legged on a piece of bluestone, holding the spiritual tablet between his fingers, his eyes closed, and muttered something. A few feet away from them was the cordon formed by poisonous fire bees, but there was no intention of alerting Haojin. As a disciple of the Spirit Beast Mountain, Han Yunzi naturally knew that his senior brothers and sisters liked to use these spirit bees and butterflies to search for the enemy, and also knew how to deal with them. Most of the insect spirit beasts have very low intelligence. Without the control of the immortal cultivator, they can basically only execute the simplest commands. Therefore, as long as they do not cross the boundary set by Haojin, even if they stand in front of the poisonous fire bees, these spirit insects will not react. With a loud bang, Han Yunzi saw a faint fire on the top of the peak. The little Taoist suddenly opened his eyes and said anxiously, "It's time." "Little Taoist, have you seen the scorching sunflower?" Han Yunzi wanted to make a final confirmation. After all, a few feet ahead would be a life and death battle. "I saw it, but it was picked by the fat man." The little Taoist answered quickly, as if he would miss the best opportunity for a surprise attack if he was a little slower. "Okay, let's go." Han Yunzi threw out a magical incense talisman and controlled the fragrant wind created by the talisman to blow towards the dense area of the poisonous fire bees in front. Suddenly, these spiritual insects swayed and fell from the trees and grass leaves. The sound of falling on the dead leaves was like frying beans. On the peak, after Zhu San's Han consumed a high-level talisman to burn the female eagle to death, he said angrily, "Junior brother your red flame net is too useless. The effect of trapping the enemy is so poor," which is quite different from what junior brother said before. If junior brother really has no backup, then the feathers and golden claws of the golden eagle will be out of your reach. "Junior brother I didn't expect you to be such a boaster. Let me, senior brother, deal with this male eagle." Haojin stepped forward with a smile. From what he said, he had a powerful method to deal with the male eagle. "Okay, junior brother Hao is still reliable. If junior brother can kill this male eagle, the share of the spoils promised to junior brother will belong to junior brother." Zhu San's Han said in great joy. Since he killed the female eagle, he is now the primary target of the furious male eagle. There are constantly golden flying knives falling from the sky. He can only use all his strength to activate the magic weapon for defense. His fat cheeks are already sweating, and it seems that his magic power is about to run out. "Haha, junior brother thanks for letting me." Haojin achieved his goal and immediately shook the bell vigorously, and thousands of poisonous fire bees gathered into a cloud of insects. At this time, Haojin made an abnormal move and did not drive them to besiege the golden eagle, but let them devour each other. After a while, there were only 100 poisonous fire bees left out of the thousands of poisonous fire bees, but the spiritual energy of each one was 10 times stronger than before. Go. Driven by Haojin, the hundreds of poisonous fire bees scattered in all directions, blocking the male eagle who was determined to avenge his wife in a space. The male eagle sensed that something was wrong and was about to escape, but was blocked by several poisonous fire bees that exploded in this direction. The power of the poisonous fire bees that devoured their own kind was far greater than before. When the male eagle was blown away by the shockwave and could not control its body, a dozen poisonous fire bees took the opportunity to fly over and bite the vital parts of the male eagle's body and then exploded together. I saw that a dozen purple flames the size of a human head enveloped the male eagle, blowing its feathers and burning its body black, and it fell from the sky half dead. Haojin raised his chin, looked at his 2 fellow disciples proudly, and summoned the swarm of bees to return to the spirit beast bag. He performed the secret technique at the cost of the number of poisonous fire bees, of course not to show off, and the materials for the 2 golden light eagles. In fact, Haojin's group of poisonous fire bees had already reached the stage of advanced egg laying, and devouring each other was just the process of the poisonous fire bees' advancement. The spiritual power of the poisonous fire bees that had just devoured their own kind was unstable, and the power of self-explosion was extremely great. Each shot was like a primary or intermediate spell. After that, the newly born poisonous fire bees were not so powerful, at best only 50% to 60% stronger than before. Moreover, each poisonous fire bee can lay more than 100 eggs at a time, and the number of eggs after hatching can reach tens of thousands. Haojin can neither afford to raise them nor drive them. Because they are inherited spiritual beasts, they cannot be sold, so he does not hesitate to let them explode to earn some visible benefits. Instead of starving to death, it is better to use them now. Haojin was proud of his own cleverness. In terms of intelligence, I should be the strongest among the three. Okay. Junior brother Hao has amazing magical powers. Senior brother keeps his word. The bodies of these two golden eagles belong to junior brother. Junior brother you should have no objection, right? ZHU Sans Hong applauded and praised, completely standing on Haojin's side and suppressing junior brother you. Humph please. But the spiritual stones and elixirs that I asked for cannot be less at all. Junior brother Yu squinted his eyes and crossed his arms, not very convinced. Junior brother Yu, don't be angry, come and help senior brother deal with the demon corpses. Finish it early, so that we can go find spiritual medicine as soon as possible. Haojin waved to junior brother Yu happily and ordered him. As if because his own cowardice was seen through, junior brother Yu actually walked over obediently and really helped Haojin. At this time, ZHU Sans Hong pretended to take the monster eggs from the nest, and a murderous look flashed in his eyes. The steel-backed pig that fell to the ground had pointed its nostrils at the backs of Hao Yu and the others without knowing when. The steel-backed pig snorted slightly and shot out two thin needles from its nostrils, shooting at the unsuspecting two people. Hiss, what bit me? Haojin felt a sudden sting in his neck, and then his strength quickly disappeared. When he fell to the ground, he could only see his black arms, and after a few breaths, he was dead. You can't survive. This was Haojin's last thought. Before he died, he sensed that there was a problem with the poisonous fire bees he had arranged at the foot of the mountain, and knew that Han Yunzi and the others were going to be the ones to take advantage of him. It turned out that the flying needle was coated with a deadly poison that could kill a cultivator with just one blow. As for junior brother Yu, he seemed to have anticipated the sneak attack. He dodged before the poison needle came close, so he was safe and sound at this time. He stared at ZHU San-chan with an extremely ugly expression. I didn't expect junior brother Yu to be much more thoughtful than that seemingly clever guy. How did you see that I wanted to kill you? ZHU San-chan was not angry at all, because the other party dodged his sneak attack. Instead, he slowly asked where he had let himself go. Brother ZHU, you have given me too many benefits. I dare not accept them. Only brother Hao is blinded by his greed and can't see through your intentions. Since the first discussion of the reward, junior brother Yu has tried to test ZHU San-chan several times. He pretended to be a person of great importance and repeatedly asked for more awards. ZHU San-chan agreed without hesitation. Even when Haojin asked for benefits twice during the fight, he agreed without hesitation, making it seem like the ZHU family's spiritual stones were picked up for nothing. How could junior brother Yu not worry? His senior brother ZHU might not have thought about fulfilling his promise at all. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.